Good evening, everyone. Oops. Hello. Hi. I hope you guys had your dinner already, because the class will be until 10 o'clock. If not, while we're waiting for others to come in, quickly grab your drinks, Milo, or anything. Yeah, then you can take the class and eat or drink at the same time. I understand it's quite tough if you're working and joining the evening class. Now let me go and get my drink as well. Give me a minute, huh? Okay, welcome everyone. I think we have about 12 of you, but we have 26 people. Yeah. I understand that there may be some delays, but we'll wait for another 3 minutes, then we will start the class, yeah, to be fair to you as well. Okay, we have 13 of you. Probably half the class is here. Okay, so maybe we get started because it's a first class and is yeah, doing some intro, right? Because we're going to have 6 lessons together. Later on, at some point of time, I may need you to turn on your camera so that I can take a photo, right? Attendance, because you know that by attending class, you get extra marks as well, right? Yeah. Okay, so there will be some discussion along the way. Maybe let me get started so that we can end on time. There's quite a lot to cover. Yeah. Okay, so, okay, someone just joined. Okay, so let's get started. So this class is AI and public administration. I know some of you take it as minor, some of the compulsory subjects, right? Yeah. And then a quick one, right? So I'm actually Jim. You can call me Jim. Yeah. Although the full name is Lim Shen Min, it's very long, my IC name, but just can call me Jim. Yeah. And then I'm actually a senior fellow, the only senior fellow since 2017 with SUSS. Yeah. But because of this class, they also make me an associate, right? And one of the reasons why I'm teaching this class is I'm doing quite a lot of AI work you'll see later. And many of my work is actually in the public sector, right? Using AI as well, okay? And of course, this nice picture shows from cradle to grave. I don't know how many of you are working in the public sector today, right? But basically, we always have this term called from cradle to grave, right? When you are dealing with public sector, because from the day you're born, right, you need to register, birth cert and everything. And then throughout the entire life cycle, go to the hospital. Most of us go to the public hospitals as well. And the hospital have our records, right? And at the end of the day, when we all pass on, right? That's where the death cert is also issued by the government. So government or public service or public sector is actually from cradle to grave, right? Kind of offerings and services to all of us. Yeah. Okay, so very quickly, a quick introduction of myself, right? So I'm Jim, as I mentioned. I'm a senior fellow and adjunct or associate with SUSS. I'm also teaching in NUS and a few others, right? As you can see from here. But these are just adjunct. That means it's part-time, right? I have a full-time job, right? In fact, I have a few full-time jobs. One of them is actually I'm with a Swiss company called Zoker, right? So I am the managing director, the head of health ecosystem. So I deal a lot with the public health sectors in Singapore and outside Singapore. Yeah. I'm also running my own company, right? 59 Social Techno Ventures is a social enterprise that we do a lot of consulting and training, right, to different organizations, including like NUS, corporate training, executive education, right? We also do a lot of consulting to, let's say, China Telecom. I'm in the advisory board of a few startups in China, Taiwan, India, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay, and 24 coming to 25 years in the ICT, Infocom technology industry, right? Before Zoka, I was actually a healthcare sector lead in NCS, local company, started as a national computer board, right? Partner level. I also did a lot of commercial thing, which is quite interesting. I was the founding CEO of this thing called Grab Health that you probably don't know because we only launched it in Indonesia and Thailand, right? But it's a joint venture between Ping An Insurance, the biggest one in China, Grab and SoftBank. Okay, then before that, I was doing multiple different type of tech-related jobs, right, and business-related job in Huawei, in an Israeli company called MDocs, in Indian company called Tech Mahindra, in the one of top 4 consulting firm called Accenture or Anderson Consulting. Yeah, so that is my 25 years of working. Yeah, okay. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. So actually, I wanted to ask you to introduce yourself, but probably not today, right? Because we have quite a lot to cover. Along the way, I will get to know you as well. Yeah. So my work in AI, right? What kind of qualify me to teach AI? Because everybody say or doing something around AI, right? So just very quickly, I started lecturing about AI and robotics in Ngee Poly, even since ChatGPT became popular, right, in 2021. So I talk a lot about AI in healthcare as well, globally, right, in different panel and speaking slots. I was also involved in Babylon Health, right, that you can see Babylon here. right? Babylon Health is one of the top 3 AI doctors from UK, right? Listed in Nasdaq. Of course, now they're not doing very well. Then on top, the one you see a doctor and AI, that's Ping An Good Doctor. That's the Grab Health that I was involved in. So there are 3 top AI doctor in the world. I'm involved in 2 of them. One as the founding CEO for Ping An Good Doctor, Grab Health. The other one as an advisor to Babylon Health after I left Ping An. Yeah. Then COVID, I have to stay in Singapore, not overseas. So I came and joined NCS, dealing with all the public health in Singapore. So one of first project I won for NCS is this thing called Singapore National Eye Center, SNEC, that we do a AI resource optimizer, right? So we look at the patient profile, look at you need to go through financial counseling of the insurance, go through lab tests, blood tests, talking to the doctors, doing operations. So the entire patient journey, we map it with the patient reference and the resource allocation in the hospital settings. Yeah. So there's a lot of AI and data involved. And this is like for prevention that we use stickman diagram to also predict. Yeah. As I said, I'm in the advisory board of a few startups. So one of them is this thing called Space MedTech that does a heart failure monitor, right? So AI algorithm that can detect cardiopulmonary disease, right? Heart disease. Then the other one is the one that most of you may have, this thing wearable, right? That we get from free from Health Promotion Board. You collect from SingPost or other places. They have 2 suppliers. One of them is called EXA. I'm actually an advisor to them as well. Yeah. They are also using AI. Yeah. Then there are many, many other AI things that I was doing, right, for my customers, right? Digital twins and others. So technically, I think quite sound. Now is how to apply AI in public administration. And as we move on in the next few lectures, you will hear that I actually help also MOH and other public sector to look at how we can use AI in public administration and policy making. Yeah. Okay. So very quickly, right? All these are in your study guide, so I will not go through too much in detail. But basically, this is a AI and public administration course. So first course today, of course, I need to give you an introductory knowledge about AI if you do not already know, right? We'll just go through very briefly, not too technical. I don't expect you to program. Yeah, and then from there, we look at what are the opportunity and risks of using AI in public administration, right? Incidentally, last week I attended a event at the Amazon Web Service, AWS, and one of the officer in Smart Digital Nation Office, right, is actually presenting what government is in Singapore is using AI for. So I actually have that information for you as well. Yeah. Then we consider how government's role, right, across different political system, because Singapore is one political system, China may be another one, US is another one. So different political system, which you probably will be more expert than I do, right? How AI is used differently in different political systems. Yeah. Okay. Then of course, we hope to see how AI can really benefit, right? Using AI benefit the entire government process, decision making, planning, and so on and so forth. Okay. So as I mentioned, again, these are all written there, but I just want to give you a quick overview. They are all together 6 study guides, right? In this course, right? Every Thursday evening, 7 to 10, we will cover 1 study guide. Okay, so today we'll cover study guide 1 or study unit 1, right? We are really talking about what is AI, how it works, and very high level on opportunity and risk of using AI. Okay, then next 2 Thursdays from now, we'll do SU2, which is the role of government in AI part 1, looking at the different political systems, right? And then how AI work as a government as a regulator. Then subsequently, we'll cover SU3, SU4, SU5, SU6. And if you already read your study unit, you know that we will have 3 guest lecturers, right? The next class, when we cover SU2, right? At the end, or in between chapter 3 and 4, we will have a speaker, Dr. James Ong, who, if you attend some SUSS event, he recently do a master class as well, right? He's a friend of mine. So he will be doing a 1-hour discussion and fireside chat with us. Okay. Then the next one is SU4. I have another guest speaker who was the Chief Data and AI Officer of Health Promotion Board, right? So he will also be sharing with us. Then the last one in SU6, we have another speaker. I have 2 still deciding who will be inviting, right? But definitely very senior people. So you'll learn a lot from these people who either are AI practitioner or they are people in the public sector or was in the public sector doing a lot of AI work. Yeah. So learning outcomes, hopefully after this entire 6 classes, right? From a theory component, you have a basic understanding of what AI is and how it works, right? And discuss how the role of government in AI differs across different country and political systems. And then explain the role of AI in policy making. So if you do not already know, before we go into all the details, right? So to be very honest, if you can guess, during COVID time, right? Whether you should wear masks, not wear masks, what's the safety distance, right? Different rules, right? I was involved in that as well. And there's a lot of data and AI involved in doing those policy making, right? So COVID was a very, very interesting time. For good or for bad, there's a bad side, but the good side is that a lot of technologies are put into use, yeah, for policy making. Okay. Then of course, practical component is that you can develop AI related framework and policy, right? And there are quite a few already in Singapore. The one I'm very familiar with is called Agile, which I'll show you in one of the class, right? It's used by, or rather is developed and promoted by Ministry of Health of Singapore and getting inputs from the public health experts and others as well. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we intend to cover. Any questions? Just stop me anytime, huh? Or you can raise your hand as well. Okay. I will give you breaks along the way as well, right? Yeah. Okay. So effective learning, try to be punctual because 7 to 10 can be quite tiring, especially for people who are working. Actually, yeah, I work the whole day today as well. Then we do this 3-hour course. Yeah. So be punctual. We try to end by 10 as well, right? So that everybody can have a good rest. And try to participate because beside that, you get points for participation. I think that's part of the learning as well, right? Only when you participate, you get to learn better. Yeah. And learn from each other, right? We will have group discussion, right? You will have your group-based assignment as well that you need to do. We'll split you into, I think you have been split into group. So in our group discussion during the lecture, please participate as well. Yeah. And of course, all comments remains here, especially we talk a lot about policy making and public administration. They will be something that may be a little bit sensitive. So I appreciate that everybody keep your comments and feedbacks in this class. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's start. So the first part is what's AI and how does it work? Yeah. Okay. So what is AI? Okay. For those of you who have some understanding of AI, you probably heard of this guy called Alan Turing because the most famous Turing test was actually one of the cornerstone of AI, right? So I will not go through in detail because it's not an AI technology course, but Turing test basically is for Alan to actually propose things like can machine things, right? He actually do tests with human and machine and then keep on repeating the task and see who make more mistakes. So you can read about that, right? Just Google. I mean, today you can get a lot of information and this kind of information is very common and very established. So there's no fake news or fake information. You just Google Turing test, right? Which I'm typing in the chat now. You'll be able to get the good input on that. And this is something just for your interest read, yeah? Turing test. Okay. So now let's go to the next one is what is artificial intelligence, right? So if you don't mind, class participation number 1, scan this QR code, right, using your phone or join, if you're using laptop to log in, join menti.com, right? And then key in this code 84433722, or you can just click on this link, right, which I'll paste now also on the chat. Then you can do your voting, yeah? It's actually a word cloud. So just want to see how many of you know what is AI and what is your impression of AI. Yes, the seminar slides will be sent after the class today, right? So no worries about that. I will upload. So I was advised by the school to upload after the class. Okay, so you can click on this link, or you can scan the QR code, okay? Or you can go to menti.com, key in this code, okay? So let's see what is the result. Can all of you see that? Right. No response yet. Are you all able to scan? Okay, great. Thanks. So I'm actually logging into three. I have my phone, my laptop, and my iPad also on for this class so that I can see the response from everyone. Okay, great. So let me just show the result while you guys are typing in. Okay. So thanks for typing. Please continue to type your response. We have 19 people in the class. So far, we have 14 responded, right? 5 more, maybe. Okay, so machine learning. Oh, good. Someone knows about machine learning. I can ask him or her to tell us what's machine learning later. Okay. Knowledge management. Okay, not bad. Making machines smart. Machine mimicking humans to some extent. Man-made intelligence. What is HAL 9000? Oh, actually, I don't know what's that. Someone wants to say what's that?
Hi, Prof. Yeah, it's a fictional AI character in the movie 2001,
Ah,
who's one of the first depictions of AI way back in the 1960s.
oh, nice, nice. Okay, great. You see, in these classes, especially on advanced topics like AI, people learn from each other. Thanks for sharing. What's your name again? Just now I didn't catch it.
Rajiv?
Oh, hey, thanks, Rajiv. Thanks for sharing. Okay, great. Yeah. So a lot of human like something, right? Which I think that's our common understanding about AI. And of course, not surprisingly, I'm expecting to see ChatGPT because that really make AI very popular these days. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for that. So let's move on very quickly. So I think most of you know and feel that AI has something to do with human and machine. And it is always machine who's trying to mimic human. Yeah. Wow. Okay, nice. Okay, let's move on to our slides quickly. So, okay, one thing to note, right? Artificial intelligence or AI is not programming language because I think now you know, but I started teaching AI in 2021, right? As I mentioned. So at that time, AI was you don't really have ChatGPT yet, right? It's not so popular. And every time we talk about AI or teach a AI course, right? And I was teaching to School of Accountancy and Business, right, in Ngee Poly about AI. Then everybody thought that, oh, I need to program in Python, right? It was one of the most popular language. But today, if you talk to people from AI Singapore, right, Lawrence Liu, who is our head of AI Singapore, he will tell you the last thing that he will ask any student to learn is Python, right? Moving forward, yes, it's good for that, but you will be using AI more than you need to program AI. Yeah. So AI is definitely not a programming language. AI is also not a robotics, right? But what is really AI, right? So before I go into that, but I think every one of you are very familiar with ChatGPT. We use that a lot. I use that also, right? Earlier this year, I need to present to someone in the architect company, right? So I actually have to search what is built environment, right? How AI is used. And of course, before I do all my research and share with them, I actually go and ask ChatGPT, which is a form of AI, generative AI as well, right? So you can see actually give you a lot of information, right? So even in education today, if you don't attend my class, a lot of people will say, I don't need to attend any class anymore, right? In the past, I can Google. Google is not good enough. I go to YouTube and watch video. YouTube not good enough. Today, I have ChatGPT or Bard, or there are many others generative AI tools that can help us to get information. But I don't know how much you know. One thing to note is that sometimes the information may not be the best and may not be the most accurate, right? So try to compare and then you know whether it's giving you the right result or not. Okay. So ChatGPT definitely do that a lot. Then actually AI, right? It may sound, except for ChatGPT, it may sound foreign or very complex to you. But if you look at it, we're using AI in our daily life, right? So this is my phone, right? You can check the calorie of the food that you eat. Okay, so this is one form of AI. Yeah. Then this is the other one. You scan or you just point at something that you are interested to buy. They will link you to where to buy it and how much it is. Yeah. So this is something, again, also very interesting. It's also using AI. The next one is translation. I scan some Chinese words, point your camera to it, immediately it translates into English, right? Of course, you can choose the settings. So these are all kind of AI as well, right? So in daily life, AI is already being used. So how can AI not be used in a public sector, public administration, or policy making? Yeah. The other one that we always use a lot, and one of the most common use case that we all are familiar with of AI is chatbot. Yeah. So this is Singtel, and of course today CPF or many companies or government agencies are using chatbots. And of course, some of the chatbots are better than others, right? The better ones generally are able to do, first of all, AI enabled, secondly, machine learning, right? Because you need to have a feedback loop and not just putting algorithm to that. Okay. So AI or artificial intelligence in simple terms is when computers or machines are designed to do things that normally require human intelligence, like what many of you put in the word cloud just now, right? This can include learning from experience, recognizing pattern, solving problems, and understanding languages, right? Yeah, of course, if you look at it more from a descriptive perspective, right, without just the wording. So what is artificial intelligence, right? So what is intelligence, right? Intelligence, whether it's a human or AI, is about problem solving ability, right? So this is just an example. It is also about abstraction capability. So if you look at it, how do you draw, right? Today we use ChatGPT, or on your WhatsApps, you can use the WhatsApp's AI as well, right? You ask them, can you draw someone who is sitting by the riverside and a couple loving each other, right? This is very abstract, but AI is able to draw for you. So that's a part of abstraction capability. And of course, in a human brain like us, we can imagine, right, how it looks like as well. And AI is being trained to be like our brain, right? So AI has problem-solving ability, abstraction capability, right? Organization capability, right? So this is again, you have self-directed, self-driving cars, right? Without some form of organization capability, right? By identify pattern and putting algorithm and training them to say, okay, if traffic light is red color, you need to do something. So without all these things, without the organization capability, the AI will fail as well. Okay. AI needs to be creative as well, just like human brain, right? I mean, no different, right? We can be creative. Some are more creative than others, but AI can be creative as well, right? So what are some of the examples, like drawing part of things? If you have tried enough, sometime at the first prompt, second prompt, it may not draw the things they want to see, right? But after fine-tuning the prompt, and sometimes they can even give you creative solutions on that. So this is another things about AI or intelligence. Yeah. Then last one is manipulation capability. So for good or for bad, right? Any intelligence will be able to kind of look at how can I manipulate the results that towards something I want. So a lot of the AI algorithm do give a certain result. There's this thing called next best action, right? It's based on your past pattern, right? Then you suggest something to you. So if you look at today, you go and browse your Facebook or your other social media, right? You realize, hey, I was browsing this and suddenly so many advertisements around the same thing comes to me, right? This is something that is really also about manipulation, because they actually read what you're doing, put into the AI algorithm, there'll be feedback loop, and then they can push things to you as well, right? So these are some of the things that we look at intelligence. And of course, AI being artificial is how not being human can have all this capability that a human brain have, and then it do what the human brain is trying to do. Yeah. So this is actually AI. So just remember the definition that most of you got it correct, right? Machine trying to mimic human, and just think of what human brain can do, right? These are the 5 big categories of what human brain can do. Yeah. So AI, various characteristic, right? If you are thinking AI is just ChatGPT or AI is just chatbot, Actually, it's more than that, right? So there's this thing about AI being able to sense, right? So computer vision, facial recognition. So a lot of facial recognition tools that we're using, whether you go to the office and instead of swiping your card or flashing your card today is based on facial recognition, right? All computer vision. So I was looking at a company sometime last year. They actually have not using drone, but some kind of computer vision, right? Video camera, edge camera that can actually look at comparing in a hotel bed, right? After the cleaner make up the room, right? They actually put a sample of what is a perfectly make up room and then compare every newly make up room and compare with it to make sure that it can comply to the standard, right? So there's some form of computer vision that instead of sending a supervisor to go around the different level and different rooms to check whether the cleaner has done their job properly, you can use computer vision to do that. So there's a lot of kind of AI usage in such computer vision or sensing capability, right? Comprehend, right? Just now we already saw some translation, right? Later on, you'll see another video that civil defense in Singapore actually do a lot of translation of Singlish into something that the people can understand. Yeah. Act, right? So AI system can act through things such as expert system. So things like autopilot capabilities and all those things in the self-driving car is part of the acting capability in the expert systems in AI systems. Yeah. And of course, all this done through AI algorithms. And then the algorithms are built based on many, many factors. It will be the experience, it can be the past, it can be the algorithm that you want them to look at the future, and then you get a machine learning or deep learning capabilities and then fine tune your algorithm along the way as well. Okay, so this is in summary kind of AI for you to know. Since we are not an AI technology course, so I'll not go down into too much details. Yeah, but feel free after class or something else, if you are interested, we can always discuss about the AI in a more technical term. Yeah. Okay, so there are actually four key types of AI, right? Again, we will not go into too much details, right? It's just an appreciation for you as well, right? So there's a reactive machine AI, which is basically it is machine if you know AI in the past, people link it to the chess player, right? Whether is it Deep Blue or the one that is playing the Chinese Weiqi, right? Recently, right? So these are all reactive machine AI, right? It based on present data, right? And it consider only current situation, present data and past data actually, right? It cannot infer from data to evaluate the future action. So this is more like I have all the past data, I have the current data, then what should I do next? But it cannot infer, right? It doesn't have the inference capability. So this is what we call reactive machine AI. Okay. Then we have limited memory AI as well, right? They can make informed and improve decisions by starting from the past data, right? And then it have a very short-lived memory, right? They can use that short-lived memory to try to evaluate future action, but it's very short-lived. It cannot predict like 5 years, 3 years down the road, right? So self-driving is some form of limited memory AI, okay? That you can say, okay, now past data tell me that I need to go this road, that road, right? Okay, now I put that into algorithm. I will look at next time when I want to move from this place to this place, I will take this road and that road, right? So this is limited memory AI. Theory of mind AI, right? You will focus on the emotional intelligence. So you can see as we move along, right? It is more cognitive and more, it has put in more things beside the technicality and the algorithm of things, right? And that is trying to be more and more human-like because the front part, right? You can build a system, a robot to do that. But we always say robot and AI. AI is not just a robot, right? AI is the brain of a robot. And if you want the robot to be more like a human, it needs to have the cognitive thing. It needs to have the emotional intelligence as well. So theory of mind AI is where the next step of AI is going to progress towards. Okay. And last but not least, self-aware AI. This, I don't think, as far as I know, it has existed yet, right? But definitely all the AI researchers are actually moving towards this direction, right? Apart from self-learning, right? AI is also self-aware. And just like any human, how we train up a kid when they are born and they grow according to the stages, we are training the AI like how we train a kid as well. Okay. But of course, AI is not a kid, it doesn't have that emotion yet, right? And it doesn't have that the lifespan constraint, right? And then AI will not fall ill and all those things, right? Like a human. So the training of an AI from when it is born as compared to when it reach, let's say, a 20, 30, 40 years old human adults brain intelligence, it needed much shorter time. Yeah. Okay, so these are the different types of AI. So very quickly, we'll cover the history of AI, right? So we don't really need to study the history of AI, but why we want to still let you know, because AI is not something that's new, right? AI has existed since the just now I think one of the student talked about the HAL 9000 or something, right? The first AI, or yeah, the movie, right? So in the 1960 years, AI existed long, long, long ago, whether you call it vision or not. In the past, we call it expert system, we call it neural network, right? There are many terms that are used except for artificial intelligence to some extent, right? But it was there, right? So we have the AI boom, first AI boom, right? Neural network expert system in the 1960s, right? Then very quickly it fall into a winter, right? Why? Because there's not enough use cases and to fund the research itself, right? So people don't really see all the benefit of AI yet. So it fall into a winter. Then again, in the 1980s, right, it boomed again, right? More expert system, more neural network. Now you have speech recognition and others, right? So it boomed again. But then it very quickly in the 90s, it fall again into the second AI winter, right? So it becomes, because it's the expert system is like a if then else statement, right? So it is like a bit rigid. It doesn't think, it doesn't have machine learning, right? And then of course, there are many other reasons you'll see in the next slide. There isn't enough computing power, right? And there isn't enough storage as well, right? It become very costly. So with all this thing, AI fall into second winter again, right? So in the 2000 plus, I would say, uh 21st century onwards, right? Because computational power increased, because we have more data, because there are more algorithm and more use cases, so AI is booming again. But now it's slower, right? Maybe people learn from the past lessons, right? More slower, but also more steady. Okay. So the four key factors that actually make AI come back again in the 21st century, right? As we mentioned, computing power, right? So that's very important with the introduction of this thing called cloud technology. Again, I don't expect all of you to know what is cloud, but all of us are using some form of cloud in our daily life. Your Gmail that you're using is on Google, right? It's also cloud service. And then anything that you buy from Android or Play Store, to some extent, is also on the cloud. Yeah. So with cloud, it actually save money and make operating and computing power stronger at a fraction of the cost. Okay. So computing power is something that's important. Of course, with computing power, you need to build more data center. That's why a lot of people talk about sustainability in today's world, right? So people always question, is AI something contributing to sustainability? Because you need a lot of computing power. That means you need to use a lot of electricity, maybe water and some others, right? So there's always this debate about AI and ESG, right? The sustainability side of things. Okay. As I mentioned, apart from computing power, the other key factors that drive the growth of AI is actually the increased volume of data, right? Because for AI to work, is an algorithm, right? It's telling you what to do. It is based on past data. So without data, AI is meaningless. And in the past, to collect data, you need to have big storage, and that's very expensive, right? So now with cloud storage, it becomes cheaper to host all this data, right? And with the advance in computer technology that can do more better archival and retrieval, it is also easier, right? So the data is very important, and the enabling factors like storage that allows us to keep increase volume of data is another key factor as well. Okay. And of course, the algorithm are more advanced. It's no longer people who have seen some expert system in the 1970s, 80s, right? It's no longer just if something, something, then something, 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 else, something, something, something. That's how people write computer program in the past, right? So the algorithm become more advanced. It's no longer simple if then else statement. Then from there, you can also generate more possibility and that is one of the reasons why you have more use cases, right? Just now I talked about the AI optimizer in the hospital, right, that we did as part of my job, right? That one is not a simple if then else statement. Instead, I actually map the different resource in the hospital, like the nurse availability, the doctor availability, the lab test room availability, the operating theater availability. We get all this availability like a big Excel sheet. Then we put things like, okay, when is available. Then you map to the customer or the patient profile. So it's no longer just a simple computing program, right? So algorithm is more advanced. And because of that, I can have better use cases as well. And because the use cases are more meaningful, right, then people want to continue to invest in AI. Okay. So hopefully this gives you a good view about AI as well as some of the history. Any question till now? No? If you feel shy to ask, you can also type inside. Thank you, Lai Yi. Yeah. Okay. Now let's move on. So what is machine learning? Okay. So machine learning, I think just now in the word cloud, some people also ask, right? Also put in. So I asked what's AI. Some people put in, okay, AI is machine learning. Yes and no, right? Machine learning is one type of AI. Okay. Later on we will see. But basically, there's this thing called machine learning, there's this thing called deep learning. Later on you'll see as well. So deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of AI. Okay. So what is machine learning? Oh, Thailand, sorry. Thailand. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So what is machine learning, right? So machine learning is a process that enable artificial intelligence system to improve by learning from experience, right? As the name suggested. So how do you learn? Okay. So there are different ways of learning, but basically uh very simple, right? So you go through a machine learning black box, right, with the input, which are mainly a lot of different data as parameter. After the learning that people build the machine learning algorithm, then you have the output. Okay. But if we split machine learning into three big things, right? So there's what we call supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. And actually, one thing good is that as the name suggested, you can guess what these are. Okay. So what is supervised learning? Super Supervised learning, right? The data is already labeled. Okay. And with the label data, you can predict a future value. Okay, so this one looks very abstract to you, to some of you, right? Because if you're not in the technical field, what is the meaning of label? What's the meaning of raw data? What's the meaning of classified data? Okay, so again, I've done that in my Grab Health. I give you an example. Okay, so today you may not do that in Singapore because if you go to a telehealth like Doctor Anywhere, I think you still talk to through a Zoom or through a WhatsApp's video call, right, to your doctor from Doctor Anywhere or from White Coat or whoever. Okay, but in China, we already allow teleconsult through AI. So we try to launch a similar thing in Indonesia, but it's through WhatsApp's text. But there's no need to do a video call, okay? Because the limitation of video call is you are talking to the actual physical doctor. So you don't need to move, that's good. But one doctor, if they spend 5 minutes with you, so one doctor, 5 minutes with one patient, let's say, okay, 10 minutes with one patient, right? And you work 8 hours a day. How many patients you can see? It's probably less than 100, right? If you spend 10 minutes with one patient, right? So, but in China, when we launch AI doctor, one doctor can see 500 patients per day, right? How do they do that? It's through what we call AI assisted consultation or AI triaging. So when you log into all this telehealth, like Grab Health or Good Doctor in China, you're not talking to an actual doctor first. You're actually talking to AI. So you either type or you can say, right? Then at the back end is another AI technology called voice to text, right? Speech recognition, voice to text. So it's all AI. So you are talking to AI first, okay? Then the AI will give you a pre-diagnosis. If it is complex, then you'll pass on to human to take over. If it's not, the AI will give you a prescription, you can buy your medicine, okay? So how AI diagnose or give you a pre-diagnostic? Basically, we build a lot of what we call clinical pathway at the back end. So we hire doctors. the doctor will say, okay, today you ask the patient. You imagine you go to clinic, what doctor asks you before they give you medicine? They ask you, oh, what's your temperature? Okay, measure your temperature. Okay, what's your blood pressure, right? Of course, good thing is that they can measure, right? If you go to clinic. But in the teleconsult, they cannot measure you, right? So they ask you the question, then you answer, oh, my blood pressure is blah, 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 my temperature is blah, blah, blah. Then where pain, then you may use a digital twin to point, okay, where pain, stomach pain, kidney pain, heart pain, or where pain, head, leg pain, hand pain. So you can choose the place that painful, right? Like how a clinic doctor will ask you. Then from there, we build what we call clinical pathway. We say, okay, if it is this age group, this gender, this pain, that pain, and all these other things, we do a labeling, right? So the labeling will say, okay, if the patient say leg pain, then the next question to ask is what? Okay, if he say A, then I label. If he say B, I label again. So it's like a process flow that we build what we call clinical pathway, and then we use AI to go and put in as an AI algorithm, and then with the feedback and the learning from the diagnostic to be successful or not successful, we will have a feedback loop in machine learning and then teach them. So this is some form of supervised machine learning. Okay, so this may sound a bit complex, my example, because right, that's why we are the top one or top three AI doctor. But if you look at a simple example in today's world that you are very familiar with, right, email spam filter, there is actually some form of supervised learning, right? So for every email, the email provider or your company, right, can actually set to say, okay, if these are the factors, right? Example, it comes from whatever uh, high risk website or web domain, right? You will classify them as spam emails. So spam emails filtering is actually one form of supervised learning, right? So in the past, it's simple, right? It's like an expert system. You just categorize them. But moving forward, all this thing can be done through supervised machine learning, which is part of AI. Okay. Speech recognition, right? Audio to text. This is some form of supervised learning as well, right? Translation that you see just now is also supervised learning, because if we go back to the definition, supervised learning is I have all the structured data. I put labeling, which is like your if then else statement, right? Labeling on the data itself, then put my AI algorithm to go and interpret, give you the suggestions. Then I have a feedback loop for machine learning to teach my AI to be smarter, because let's say, again, going back to the AI doctor or going to the spam mails thing. So I accidentally classified someone as a spam mail, which we always get, right? A new sender, you probably may go into a junk mailbox. So people always say, oh, please check your junk mailbox first, right? So these are learning. So when you move it from your junk mailbox into your inbox, if your email filtering is AI enabled, it will have the machine learning part of it already. Then next time they will know, oh, this email domain should not be a spam mail, right? So this is how the entire supervised machine learning actually works. Okay. Unsupervised learning, as the name suggested, right? I don't have a structured data, right? So there's no enough training data set, right? I cannot do labeling. So I will just put, and then it will do a lot of unsupervised learning by itself. The AI algorithm, it will learn by itself. What are the example of such unsupervised learning? Example, next best action, right? So based on your customer profile, okay, I browse this, browse that, browse this, browse that. I can do some form of past information and data, but I cannot label the data because I don't know what's the next action. Okay, you buy a coffee powder, you buy milk powder, you buy vegetables in a supermarket. I may not know what you want to buy next, right? But I'll give you a next best action. So I cannot label data to say if they are buying vegetable and milk powder, then they will buy something, right? It can be part of supervised learning if there's correlationship. If there isn't, it's an unsupervised learning, right? So this is where I will learn along the way. I'll just give you, based on my prediction, what's the next best action, then it will learn from there. But there's no structured learning or supervised learning per se. Okay. Then last but not least, reinforced learning, right? So again, this one, as the name suggested, reinforcement, right? So input, this one's supposed to be a chicken, but it say it's duck, right? So it's wrong. Then the response says it's wrong already. Then you learn, right? You go into the memory. Then from there, with a few more training and reinforcement of the training, you will get to the correct answer along the way, right? So there are three types of machine learning, right? Supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced. You don't need to know all this in your application for sure, but just want to share with you so that when you say you attended something AI related, you do know some of these important terms. Yeah. And feel free to ask me after that, after class, or email me, or you can actually Google or watch some of the YouTube videos as well, because these are very basic AI knowledge itself. Yeah. Okay, so very quickly, what is deep learning? Okay, so again, deep learning, well, in the machine learning, we actually compartmentalize, right, the object that we want to analyze, right? So for example, in the machine learning, I have to, whether is it supervised learning or unsupervised learning, I have different data set, right? So just now remember, we have different data, we collect the data. So hood is the data, wheel is the data, trunk is the data. They put all this data to go and run the algorithm, then you will try to interpret and give an output. But deep learning, it doesn't really split things into parts by parts. You look at it as a whole. It's just like our human brain, right? So the neural is like a neural network kind of learning for deep learning, right? So from there, it will take longer time to understand, okay, this is a car. So how do I look at a car? It has a wheel and all those things, but I don't slice and dice individual thing and dump it inside, right? I actually expect it to think like a brain. You can look at it as a whole, then it start identifying, okay, this is a wheel, this is trunk. Okay, so this is deep learning, which is more human brain-like of learning, right? But it is a subset of machine learning as well. So what is a good example of deep learning, right? Okay, before we look at that good example, I show you the speech to text, which is a form of AI bot, right? That's a part of deep learning as well. Okay.
诶，我现在很 scared 嘞，有人在打枪，like there's someone like running away, like he's getting away, and right now，有很多人在这边，很多人在 shouting 啦，可以快点来吗？啊，我在多巴尤那边，快点来everyone is quite the scene here is very noisy.
Okay, so this is from Singapore Civil Defense, right? As you can see, it's built by NUS NTU and AIS Singapore, right? Actually, recently I just talked to the prof in NUS who moved to Hong Kong, right? Who built this with his students. So you can see it's very good because it can translate even Singlish, right? So how does it do that? It actually split, right? I mean, again, not part of your technical learning, but if you're interested, it actually divide the wordings into chunk, right? In the past, when LLM is not so mature yet, right? The large language model in the generative AI is not so mature yet. So it has to really see, okay, this part doesn't sound like English. So it has to go and map into the different language library at the back end to say, is this Hokkien, is this Chinese, is this Malay or whatever, right? If it detects it's not English. So in the past, it's more cumbersome to do this kind of AI bot. But now with this large language model, which is part of those generative AI based on, it becomes much easier, right, to dissect the different language pack that is needed. Okay. So as I mentioned, why do you need to know about deep learning, right? You don't really need to know about deep learning, but you need to know this term because generative AI is a subset of deep learning. So again, just how I mentioned, right? Artificial intelligence, AI, is like the larger superset of things. Under AI, you have machine learning, which is a subset of AI. Then within it, you have deep learning. And then from there, you have NLP, natural language processing, which is a lot of the speech to text things. And then LLM, large language model, which generative AI is actually basing a lot on. Yeah. So this is how the picture looks like. And I think today everybody is only interested in generative AI because whatever we do, if you put a term AI, this project has an AI component in it, or in today's world, a generative AI component in it, you can get a funding easily to do any of the projects. Yeah. Okay, so what is generative AI again, right? So again, you have in the olden days, you have the predictive machine learning model, right? Like we say, you have data, they will do labeling, right? Then you have output, Okay, but in generative AI, right, similar a little bit to the unsupervised machine learning, but unsupervised machine learning still have data, although it may be a lot of unstructured data. Okay, but in generative AI, it can be data and it can be other content, right? So you may hear the word called prompt engineering, which I'll show you later. So there's a lot of prompting, right? It will do a lot of backend web crawling. You'll do a lot of pattern recognition in a generative AI model. Okay, so one of the key things that we all know, right? So prompt engineering, which is the hottest job that can potentially come in the next couple of weeks or months or years, right? So I love eating, right? Then I love eating what, right? So I have to say my favorite fruit is Singapore Hokkien Mee with lots of prawns. Then it will actually dissect further, right? Generative AI. So it will say, okay, my favorite fruit, okay, this is my input. Then my output is Singapore Hokkien Mee, right? Then my favorite fruit is Singapore Hokkien Mee. So these are the things that you will keep on enriching the data that you provide so that the prompt design becomes very, very important. Okay, move on. Okay, any questions again? Okay, what is happening? Okay, that's good. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this one is a little bit long, so I will probably cover a few points, then we will go for a short 5 to 10 minutes break. Okay, so just now we see the different parts of AI, right? So what AI is about, the definition, then we look at the AI history, the evolution of AI, then we look at the reasons of what AIs are important, right, that drive the AI growth. Okay, maybe before we go to here, let me ask questions. So you can type in the chat, you can also shout out, or you can also on your camera and say it, right? So what are the uh four reasons or four trends that enable the growth of AI again? Anyone want to try? There are four factors that we talk about, and this is something that's important to know. You can type in the chat as well. I'm recording who is doing the active participation. Anyone will try? There are four factors. Let me give you a hint on the first one. It's computer processing power. Yeah, because you have higher computer processing power, so it enables the growth of AI. Thanks, Rajiv. Yeah, but I just mentioned this. Okay, but thanks for that. So three more. Is it about the impact or results? What drive the growth of AI? Because just now we saw, right? So AI boom, first AI boom is 1960s, then it come down again. Then in 1980s, 90s, boom again, then come down again. Then now it's going up again. Yeah. So there are four factors that is helping AI to grow again. So one is processing, computing power. More algorithms, yes, or advanced algorithm, I would say. Yeah. So Jadish, right? Jadish, thanks for that. Okay. Then let me see what are the answers you guys are putting. Funding, okay, yes and no, but funding is more an effect, right? So you have more funding, but why people are willing to fund, right? To grow the AI. Okay. Innovation, okay, market demand, technological advancement, increased interest in AI, increased funding, increased research. Sorry, I get all the name wrong, sorry. Yeah. Increasing technology level. Okay, increasing technology level is definitely correct, right? But it's very high level, right? So like computing power is also technology, right? Just now people type innovation is also technology, right? So that's definitely correct. But more specifically, one is computing power, right? The other one, I think, algorithms, right? Is correct, right? That's from Devi, algorithm, but it's more advanced algorithm, because by having more algorithms is not good enough. If you don't have advanced one that would drive the next one, the keyword is called use case, then it's not that useful, right? So more use cases and better use cases, and that you can link it to market demands as well, yeah? Help with productivity. Yeah, these are the use cases lah, right? Human computation, larger. Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks for the participation. Yeah, so definitely the four key things, right? If you go back to the slide again after I send it out, right? Let me show you the slide. So this is something that is important for you to know. Okay. So as I mentioned, right? So we have AI winter, a very nice graph. Then computing power, right? Hardware, cloud computing, it helps to give you better computing power, right? Processing power. Increase volume of data, because as I said already, right? For AI to be meaningful, you need data. Without the data, you cannot collect the data, then you cannot do a lot of AI, right? So again, in the past, apart from storage is very expensive, right? Now with cloud storage, it helps to store the high volume of data at a fraction of the cost. The other thing is you have better data collection, right? Because today all of us are using some form of smart devices, right? How many of you wearing smart watches and wearables and all those things? How many of you have smart devices at home, right? Remote control, right? Using your Siri or Google or Assistant or some others to control your entire furnitures or facilities at home, right? So all these are the data collection point, which are very important, right? To have these data for AI to be analyzing. Of course, just now we talked about algorithm, and because of the advanced algorithm, it drives the use cases. Yeah. Okay. So thanks for the participation. Very good. Now let's move on. Okay, so after knowing the AI winter, the reasons that it grow again, we look at different types of machine learning, right? Because in today's world, a pure normal AI algorithm is no longer good enough. So the machine learning actually enables the AI to learn to be more like human. Because one of the key things about robots and human is that robot itself without AI doesn't have the learning capability. You just program it do what you ask it to do, right? But with AI in the robot, and the most important part of that is really the learning capability. And we look at the three types of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced machine learning. Then we move on to look at what are deep learning. Again, deep learning is a subset of machine learning, right? And why deep learning becomes important? Today, you may not hear that word anymore because people always talk about ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is just a product name, right? Ultimately, ChatGPT is part of generative AI. And when it comes to generative AI, it is a subset of deep learning, okay? And then for generative AI to work, we need to have two very key important features. Who can tell me what are the two things? Make a guess, or if you cannot remember, if you can remember. There are two very important things for, very good. Rajiv, top scorer. Thanks for that. Yeah, so NLP and LM. So that is something very important for generative AI to be meaningful as well. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so after, sorry, okay, I realize my slide is not up. Okay, so after the deep learning and generative AI, now let's take a look at, sorry. ethical and responsible AI, right? So a lot of people have a lot of concerns of using AI. One of the most common concern that we hear about is it intruding my privacy, right? How can it tell me what to do? Even today on Facebook, right? We get frustrated. I was serving, let's say, tour location, right? A particular destination. Then there's so much information just thrown on me in the next login, or even I just scroll down, right? Nowadays it's so advanced. I scroll down to Facebook, then I realize, hey, how come they seem to know what I'm looking for, right? And giving me answers. So people are always concerned about the privacy, right? Do I really get privacy if AI is all over me? So let's take a look at what are the ethical and responsible AI. Yeah. So top ethical issues, right? For in artificial intelligence, right? Before we talk about all the privacy, people always say with AI, I'm going to lose my job, right? Today, I think this is one of the most common thing that we hear a lot, right? From the industry. If today you are working also, right, and doing this part-time course, you probably feel that, I mean, depends on your job, right? You probably feel that they may be colleagues who are worried about losing job or unemployment, right? Because one of the key thing of AI, right, if you do not already know, is in this form called RPA, robotic process automation, right? So what are the things that RPA is very good at? It's good at, of course, mundane work, right? Just like any other AI use cases. And then if for those of you who are familiar with insurance industry, right? So there's a lot of claim processing, right? I mean, you definitely have bought insurance before, right? Let's say you buy for travel and your travel delay, flight delay, baggage loss, baggage spoiled, right? You may be able to get compensated, okay? And this is part of what we call claim processing. So claim processing before use of any technology is a very mundane and labor-intensive task, right? I was involved many years ago in the insurance industry as well, right? To do claim processing, you actually hire a lot of part-timers, right? Or a lot of executive just to look at it, and then they compare and then they process a claim, right? A lot of filing, a lot of documents checked. But with technology, right? First, storing this and digitalize them and put in the electronic means, it makes searching easy, right? Now with AI and with RPA, robotic process automation, the entire claim processing is almost without any labor, right? Not labor intensive. It's just process, dump all the thing in, it will process by itself. So the job that used to be done for claim processing is gone. Okay. So people are worried about loss of job and unemployment. Okay. And of course, there are many others. Okay. What are other potential AI job? Okay, you can see here construction, or you can see this welding, soldering, right? So another form of AI is like robotic arms, right? So robotic arms without the thinking capability is already doing a lot of all this factory work. With the thinking capability, right? Especially, I will not go down into too much detail. A lot of robotic arm, we call it the cobots, COBOTS, collaborative robots, is that you have all the robotic arms without brain, but one of the leader robot has the brain, right, in the cloud, then it can actually direct the people what to do. So this is actually doing a lot of replacement of the more traditional job as well, right? Even in the healthcare industry that I'm very familiar with, right? Uh, of course, AI cannot entirely replace the healthcare workers, because one of the key things about healthcare is the emotional and the personal touch, right? Whether is it dealing with nurse or others. But AI can do a lot of the work of a healthcare worker, especially example, temperature taking, pressure taking, right? Whether is it in the form of a robot or is it a self-help kind of devices, where the AI will actually either prompt you, right, using your wearables or IoT Internet of Things devices or other means. Yeah. So definitely loss of job and unemployment is one of the top ethical issues or considerations in the use or adoption of AI. Okay. The other one, inequality. Okay, this is something very interesting. Okay. So again, you're political. Many of you are probably political science students, right? So inequality is probably one of the things that you discuss a lot about, right? Again, if you look at in today's world, okay, what are the different types of inequality that can be created due to AI. Okay, so definitely one is income, right? So AI can potentially increase productivity, as we can see in the previous example, right? So people who are able to deploy AI can potentially get a higher income, right? Whether is it at a company level, company to company comparison, or even country to country comparison. Yeah. Of course, the other inequality is in the skill gaps, right? So Singapore is quite lucky or blessed, right? Singaporeans, because we have all the skill funding and all the learning environment that help us to learn, right? It can be tiring, but yes, we have the thing. But if you go to Africa, because you saw that I worked in Huawei before, and one of the famous thing about working for Chinese company is that I have customers in the less developed countries like Africa, Middle East that I go to, right? So that's where you can see they don't have such a good systems as Singapore, to be very honest with you, right? And not easy for them to learn, right? So for them to acquire knowledge, whether AI or not, is not easy. And then because, right, of the inability to acquire the knowledge, it becomes more and more difficult. And then if they can actually learn AI, then they can actually improve their skills to have the future job as well. Yeah. Bias. Bias is another form of inequality that we see a lot, and there's always this discussion about AI bias, right? That you probably heard about. So what are AI bias? Later on, you'll see an example. Even Amazon itself, right? So when it comes to hiring of people, right, they actually put into their AI algorithm screening for certain roles, looking at certain gender only. So they think that, okay, certain roles can only be done by male, example, right? So this will lead to unfair outcomes. And then the AI algorithm will potentially sieve out highly qualified female, right, for the job just because they're female. Okay. So these are some of the AI bias that we always see. And then another interesting one that I saw at the event in May, where NUS presented, is that they always think that let's say a professor teaching English, right, has to be a Caucasian, not a Asian or not a Chinese, right? So these are some of the example that you always think about that. Then they always also show a picture to say, you ask AI to draw a picture to show a happy family eating Chinese food. Then they usually will draw Chinese people doing that. They will not draw a Caucasian doing that, right? Eating the Chinese food. So these are some of the bias that we need to train our AI to forget some of this inequality, yeah, and the bias. Now, of course, wealth distribution, right? So again, business leveraging on AI can generate potentially more wealth, right? Then this also mean that, I mean, today there are many big companies like your Google, Microsoft, all pushing AI, right? And of course, only the big companies like the big banks, the big manufacturing companies can actually subscribe to these services. So today, if I'm a small, medium enterprise, then I will not be potentially able. Singapore again is lucky, right? As I say, Singapore is not a very good example for a lot of common things, right? We are lucky we have a lot of SME go digital and a grant by government, right? But in a normal country like I've experienced in even Europe, right, they don't have easy access or government is not supporting them that much. Then it becomes the rich will get richer, whereas the smaller one like a SME, right, will be difficult for them to compete. Yeah. So of course, other things about AI is that we can use AI to also give the disadvantaged people tools to find work. So for example, a blind person, right? Now with let's say a speech to text recognition, right? And then text back to speech again, it can help them to do things that they cannot use to do in the past. So I have a friend who is a blind person, right? So I can see that he can easily order Grab by himself by speaking, right? To the apps itself. So this is again AI at the back end translating speech to text. So that also helps them, right? Then of course we can use AI to train the people to be better at their job, right? Provided that they're willing to be trained, right? Then AI also can look at safety, right, and efficiency. Okay, so these are some of the inequality for good and for the bad side of things. Any questions so far? No. Okay. Okay, so just now we already say there's a lot of AI bias, and I gave you a few examples, right? So this one links to bias and indiscrimination, right? So again, this one, what does it say, right? Did someone blink? You can go and look at this link, right? That's where the source come about. So someone didn't really blink, right? It's just that to some extent, Asian, like Koreans and some of the Chinese, just have small eyes, right? So sometimes you may not be able to tell whether is it that they didn't open their eye or were they blinking or something like that. So these are some of the bias and indiscrimination that can happen, right? So again, using AI software to predict future criminals can also have certain bias, right? In this case, right? Just based on whether their look, their past profile, right? And then you actually predict the future itself. Yeah. So that's why AI can be biased and can have some inequality and discrimination. So there's a regular AI audit needed, right? At our work today, we are using a lot of Microsoft Copilot to do some of the work, right? And even like your submission, right, of your assignment, SUSS use this software called Turnitin, right, to check the AI content. So there will be a lot of all this checking, auditing to make sure that we remove any potential inequality, bias, and discrimination. Okay. Okay, privacy concern, right? This is something that we talk about most common. Everybody is having some form of privacy concern, right? The AI system, because it needs a lot of data. And if we don't control it well, right, then there may be negative effect of AI having all this data, right? So as you can see in China, from 2011 to 2020, right? 99 out of 328, right? That's close to 1/3, right? Research paper is on the topic of privacy. Okay. So again, things like should AI be considered a moral agent, right? Things like, okay, there's a lot of ethical issue in China, right? Because in China, if you notice, right, the two countries that has most of the AI adoption is China and US, okay? But people are more concerned about China. Again, we will discuss it as the subsequent topic when we talk about the different political systems, right? In general, people feel that in China, your data is unknowingly being shared, right? Whether is it with, especially with government agency, right? Or sometimes all the platform that you are involved in, although there are a lot of fine prints that you may have accepted, right? But there's a lot of unauthorized sharing of data. There's a common thinking about China using AI, right? As compared to the US itself. But of course, it's also a double-edged sword because there's so much concern. Countries like those in Europe, to some extent, move slower in terms of technological advancement, especially AI, because of very stringent regulatory constraint, right, on the data privacy. I think the most well-known one in Singapore is called PDPA, right, Personal Data Protection Act. If you are interested, you can study PDPA and also the one in Europe called GDPR. So GDPR is much more stringent than PDPA itself, right? And that also, for good, is that it protect your privacy and data better. For bad is that it also, I will not say impede, but it actually slow down some of the research or technological advancement that needs a lot of data. And one of them is AI. Okay. So maybe I take a break here, right? We have a few more points to go through. Any questions here? No. So maybe we go for a 5 minutes toilet break. Then now it's 8:17. Maybe we come back at 8:25. Okay. Okay.
Hi, Prof.
Yeah, hi.
Can I just check because the study guide that's available on iStudy Guide seems to be a little it seems like it doesn't contain the full thing. May I know where I can find all the like slides or whatever for
Okay. Yeah,
this
sure.
course?
Okay, so I was advised by the school that I will upload the slides after the class. So after today class, I'll upload chapter 1 and chapter 2. But I think if most of you, I can ask the class when everyone come back later, right? If most of you promise me that after getting it, you will still attend the class, then I probably will upload the subsequent slides before the class, right? If it helps in your reading and your learning. Yeah.
I know it's because I'm concerned because the study guide isn't like the study guide is very there's not
Correct.
much information. So
Yeah.
it's like if we want to do the TMA, we have to refer to the slides basically.
Definitely. And also the some of the reading as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, normally the study guides aren't so empty, Just yeah,
Okay.
this is the
Also
first.
that that's why this is not called a study guide, right? I forgot what's the name called. Let me check. Because they got us as I was told compared to other classes, this is called a course guide, not a study guide, because it's a very new topic and advanced topic and keep on changing, right? So they propose, I mean the course leader proposed to have a course guide, which the course guide asks a lot of questions rather than a full-blown study guide. Yeah. So that's what I was told.
So basically, the study units are just like there as an overview.
It's like the course guide will ask a lot of questions, then the slide deck and the compulsory readings will answer most of those questions.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, the study guide was yeah. I mean, it was the first time I've seen the study guide like that. Thought that was an issue with yeah.
Okay, understand. Yeah. That's why it's called a course guide. Yeah. So last time when they asked us about this course, they say, okay, that's why we are developing course guide and these are the structure, and you don't need a full-blown study guide like other courses that you may have attended. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Professor, you're muted.
Sorry. Thanks for that. Yeah, sorry. So just now I was saying that just now we looked through the four items, right? Loss of job, inequality, bias, and privacy. Okay. So these are quite common that you probably hear a lot about AI giving challenges in the ethical side, ethical use of the AI. Then the fifth one that we are going to look at is actually transparency, right? And just now we saw things like supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, right? So there's a lot of data sets that go into an AI algorithm. And most of the time, these AI algorithms are black box to us. So for example, again, going back to the example I've done, sorry, accidentally pressed. So going back to the example I've shared just now, the AI scheduler optimizer that we use in the public hospital, right? Matching the hospital resource as well as the patient profile, right? But internally, you as a user of that, right? Because you need to book your appointment, or the nurses who is using it wouldn't know the algorithm itself because to them it's a black box. So how to make sure that they understand, right? That these black box AI algorithm giving the results is correct, and then they understand that it's interpreting correctly. Because ultimately we can say the AI is helping us to do all these things, right? But if anything goes wrong, let's say I schedule wrongly, right? And I ask the patient to go and do a blood test or do an operation before blood test, right? Who is responsible for it? It's still the hospital, the healthcare providers, right? It's not the AI itself, right? Just like self-driving car, it get into an accident. Who is responsible for it? Is it the car manufacturer, the programmer of the AI, or is it the car owner itself, right? So all these things has been a lot of ethical discussion. So the transparency of the AI algorithm becomes very important. But again, not every one of us is a technical person who can understand the algorithm. So there's this term called explainable AI that comes about, that every of the AI algorithm, without going into the details of the technicality of the algorithms, right? Because not everyone is trained in that, you need to be able to explain very clearly the input, output, the process it is going through, right? So this is the foundation of explainable AI. Okay. Okay, the other ethical issue in the use of artificial intelligence is in the concentration of power. So what does it mean, right? So today, you have a lot of tech giants like the Microsoft, the Google, and the Amazon, right, who are all investing a lot in AI. Okay, just like in the past, a normal web searching, right? Even up to today, I think last week news, I see that people are complaining that Google has the concentration of all the searches, right? So same thing for AI. People are worried that your tech giants or some big companies may have enough power to have this concentration of power to influence the AI adoption and development and the decision making that is brought by AI development itself, right? So for example, is it going to happen? We don't know, but let's say Ministry of Health of Singapore decided to use AWS, right, or use Google for that matter, right, to store all the information and use the AI that comes with the Google platform itself, right, just for example. Then how well can we trust Google is not going to influence the decision making by the AI algorithm, right? Because they can manipulate the whole thing, right? So these are some of things that people are worried about, right? But of course, if it is public sector, people will kind of have more security or more assurance because believing that the tech giants may not manipulate the government or may not be easily be manipulated. Yeah. So these are some of the things that's happening. But of course, we also see that people are also concerned, right? Whether it's in US or in Taiwan, right, about the election results, right? Especially if AI is involved. So these are some of the things that people are worried, right, when it comes to concentration of power. Yeah. And that's why you have a lot of all this antitrust law, right, in the past for that's imposed on Google, on Facebook, and others. In future, will we have all this antitrust law on AI or tech giants? We don't know yet, but potentially it may come. Yeah. Number seven, ethical issue, right? Security risks, right? So definitely, when we let, it's not just AI, any technological advancement or the use of technology comes with certain form of risk, right? But of course, in AI, the risk is that because a lot of things are automated and because a lot of things are in the black box, right? If the human monitoring and intervention is not in time, right, hackers, right, can actually harness the power of AI, right, to develop more advanced cyber attacks, right? They can find loopholes. It will be a lot of AI machine to machine interaction itself, yeah. And then the more powerful one, right, let's say they are the hackers, can potentially find a lot of loopholes to hack into the systems itself. And they will even change your AI algorithm, right? If they're powerful, more powerful than your AI algorithm, they change your AI algorithm to give you the undesired results or output itself, right? So these are some of the concerns, especially government have. And that's why there's a lot of security framework for those of you who are involved in some of the public sector work, right? There are multiple security framework in government, we call it IM8 or some other things that you need to put in place to ensure that you comply to them before you can launch. Even I think just 2 months ago in last month in July, right? A lot of private hospitals do not need to put their data into the National Electronic Health Record, but government has launched some cybersecurity law, right, to enforce that they need to put their data on, right, to comply to the security standards. So definitely there's a lot of security measures that's needed to be taken and sometimes law imposed, right, for the use of AI. Yeah. Okay, number eight, I think that's most interesting and that's happening already, right? Deepfakes was not new already. I think it's few years old, right? Imposing as somebody. But I think the more interesting one is that for those of you who are music lover, you can go to YouTube, right? You can easily search AI, some singer's name, right? So they are already using so many AI technology to fake a singer's voice, yeah. So that is definitely a lot of misinformation over there. Is it lawful? Today, nobody has put any law, right, to stop them from doing that. So it's probably something for discussion, right? We can discuss along the way. You can put it as part of your assignment consideration as well, right? But that's definitely a lot of this is already happening. Yeah. Okay. So focus in developing the AI itself. Okay, so what is responsible AI, right? You definitely need to understand. Sorry, admit someone. Okay, you definitely need to admit someone, right? To develop, sorry, admit someone, who we're talking. You definitely need to develop responsible AI, right? Looking at the issues, limitations, and the unintended consequences. Okay. So again, right? If it's like garbage in, garbage out, right? So if we don't change, right, and we don't have good practices, right, whatever issues we have today, and we just go ahead and use AI to repeat it and to execute it, right, without giving it good practice, considering all the ethical consideration that we saw just now, or putting the right machine learning methods to the AI algorithms, then it potentially can be garbage in, garbage out. So to do AI responsibly, we need to reflect what has exist and then make necessary changes with the good practices itself. Looking through just now what we looked through, a lot of ethical consideration, right? Removing bias, removing discrimination, right? Ensuring security and so on and so forth. Okay. So of course, we already discussed, right? One of the biggest concerns is about privacy, right? So more than 90%, right, of the data currently has just been created over the past year, and most of us are concerned about privacy. Okay. And we also seen just now that there's AI bias in job placement, right? Whether is it based on race, based on gender, based on, there's a lot in the past, right? I wouldn't say now. A lot of people think that senior leadership team are mostly male, right? Which definitely is not the case anymore. We have the first female CEO for DBS coming on board. Yeah. And then of course, different types. You may think that again, good or bad, right? So I've seen people hiring for what we call user experience designer, right? UX UI, right? People who look too formal wearing coat and suit, right? In their photo, people think that, oh, these are not creative enough, right? And then people who may be putting sunglasses may be more creative. So there's a lot of bias if we are just going through like that. But again, it's not just an AI fault, right? Because today, even if you do it a manual labor intensive recruiter way, right? A recruiter, a human, may also have the pre-perception of what someone is more suitable for a certain job, right? So if the same concept or the same bias is put from the human brain to the AI, then you will just repeat the same mistake. And that's why actually, again, up for discussion, there are people thinking that AI bias will be there, but it's a lot driven by human, right? And if we put in the proper mechanism, framework, and the learning for AI, actually AI can be more unbiased than the human, right? But of course, this is up for discussion. Okay, so considering all this different constraint, right, issues and bias, that's why it's important to develop AI, right, that address accountability, right? So as I said, if the self-driving car using AI technology knock into someone, who's accountable for that? Is it a car owner, which we all believe so, or is it the car manufacturer, or is it the AI algorithm person? Yeah. Then of course, privacy, transparency, fairness, and traceability. Yeah. So key principles of responsible AI. Okay, so first of all, we need to eliminate bias to ensure fairness. Okay, we need to ensure that there's different security measures taken, and there will be a lot of what we call vulnerability and penetration tests to ensure that the AI algorithm can stand all the security standards. And of course, for those of the people who are designing the AI algorithm, there's this term called AI by security by design that they need to ensure into their AI design itself. Privacy, right? So definitely, how do we guide the data privacy? Although I need to collect data for AI to be meaningful, but what is enough amount of data and what data types and characteristic is enough, right, for the AI to really work? So all this needs to be designed, discussed upfront. Transparency, right? So definitely I need to ensure my AI algorithm is transparent enough. People can understand it. People can explain it. It's an explainable AI, right? So that this will fall under what we call the criteria principle of responsible AI. Okay. Okay, so quick quiz. What can someone name? You can type also, you can say out also, right? What are the top 8 ethical issues of AI that we have seen just now? Yeah. Yep. Inequality, bias, privacy. Good. 3 out of 8 already. Loss of job, employment. Oh, that's very fast. 4, yes. Transparency, unemployment. There's a lot of job, yes. Security, yes. Misinformation, yes. That's the deep fakes and for your AI music, AI singer. Concentration of power. Yes, very good. Yep, good, great. Thank you for that. Okay, so after knowing the top 8 ethical issues, what are the 4 responsible AI design key principle that we have just seen? Security, privacy, security, fairness, yes. Okay, good. Okay, wow, Samuel is good. Okay, you type all 4. Thanks for that. Okay, great. Can. Yep, yep. Okay, thanks everyone. Now let's get back to our slides. Okay, so we have seen the ethical issues in AI. You named all the 8 correctly. Thanks for that. And then we also look at the 4 key principles of designing towards responsible AI, and you got all correct as well. Now let's take a quick look at what are the skills needed for AI era. I think some of you may be interested, right? Because this is where, let's say after your graduation, especially this course is AI in public administration, right? So if you know what kind of work is involved, right, that needed in AI's era, they will be good. Yeah. Mm. So again, just some statistic, you don't need to know all these things, right? So definitely hello. Okay, okay. Someone talking to me, or okay, never mind. Okay, let's continue. So yeah, so these are some global studies, right? So if you look at it globally, from a okay, no worries. Yeah. So globally, out of the 29 countries that are being surveyed, right? So 3% share that the job could be potentially automated. Yeah. 17% of the job can be automated when we move from 2020, that's the early wave one algorithmic kind of AI, to wave two, right? That's the late 2020s to even today, 2023. So you can see that AI, as we can see, do a lot of automation, right? And then with that automation, there will be jobs being automated increase from 3% to today 29%. And because of that, right, there will be job loss because some of the jobs are automated, right? So if you look at the pie chart there, right, blue color wave one, yellow color wave two, right? So many sectors are being impacted, right? But the most impacted one is in orange color, right? So orange color is transportation. So transportation is definitely highly impacted, right, by AI, especially for automation. Then the gray color is financial services, right? That's another one that um, is highly impacted. Healthcare, as I say, it will also be impacted, right? But you can see from the percentage, it's much less as compared to the other two, right? Why is it so? Because as we said, healthcare workers need to have some kind of emotion and being human-centric as well. Yes, we can make our robot or AI more humanoid like, or even have better cognitive capability, but it still take time to reach that. Yeah. Okay. So anybody can give some example on what are the financial services work that is being automated, especially the use of AI. Anyone will try? We are using many of them. I'm also using loans approval. Yes, correct. So I can, yeah, call center, great. Algo trading, good. Cash deposit machine, insurance claims. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know how many of you use robo-advisor, right? There's the banks are pushing a lot on robo-advisors, right? So they will help you to do a lot of investment. But my personal experience is that their algorithm can improve much further lah. Okay, not that great yet. Okay. Wait, call center, of course, chatbots, right? And also all the call center agent is always AI. You talk to AI first before you talk to the human, right? Unless the AI cannot solve the job. Great. So financial sector is very common, right? Definitely. Transportation, who wants to try? That may be a bit more complex for you, apart from self-driving cars. Mm-hmm. Yeah, facial recognition. If you go to T4, I think now even T3 also, right? It's all facial recognition for your check-in. Okay. Biometrics to some extent, yes. Yep. Route mapping, bus arrival, yes. All these are to some extent bus arriving may not be, but yeah, it can be, right? But route mapping, yes. I think there's one that is very interesting. Nobody mentioned. Predictive maintenance, that's good. Yeah, autonomous driving for sure. Yes. What about drones? Yeah. So there's a lot of drones being used, right? By the big platform company like Taobao, like Jingdong, JD, right? They are all using some form of drone for delivery. And of course, one or two drones for delivery is simple, but they are sending fleet of drones. So if you have a chance to visit their center, it's controlled by a big brain, right? Even Alibaba, they call it the city brain to control the transportation in Malaysia. So really it's a AI brain diverting traffic, diverting drones delivery. Like JD is using a fleet of drones to do delivery and it's controlled by a big AI brain at the back, right? For all the on-schedule delivery and all those things to optimize the entire scheduling. Yeah, the roadside sweeper, that's by Singtel on Sentosa Island. Singtel done it with NTU. I don't know you guys saw it already. If not, you can go to Sentosa to take a look, right? So these are interesting use cases. And that's why if we play back into why AI boom again now and is it sustainable, right? So apart from all the computing power, storage, big data, data availability, wearables, right? The use cases are becoming richer, right? That can drive actually the adoption and the development of AI. Because without use case, if you don't find benefit of that, why would you want to use AI, right? So that's why use case, advanced algorithm driving use case, and use case driving the entire adoption of AI, apart beside all the technological advancement. Yeah, great. Let's go back to our slides. Okay, so what are jobs that can be impacted by AI, right? For sure, repetitive and routine tasks, right? So your very basic data entry, right? Your assembly line work in the factory. So again, I was involved in the COVID task force at the Changi Expo, right? During the lockdown period, I was one of those first few to go to the expo to set up the temporary hospital back in 2020 when I came back to Singapore, right? Due to COVID. So I mean, that time lockdown, nobody know what COVID is. Not many people there to volunteer to do work there, right? So, but there's so much work to do, right? And there are so many patients, right? Especially the foreign workers, they are all quarantined there. So we actually cannot do a lot of data entry. The patients coming in is much faster than we can do data entry. So we have to change from labor incentive, right? People keying in into using programming and AI to help in the data entry. So this definitely, yes, it's replacing, but it's also helpful in the emergency situation like a COVID. Yeah. Of course, AI is impacting the data analysis and reporting, right? So again, there's a lot of data analysts being hired. They are still there, right? But the generating of the reports where the people can analyze can be done by AI, right? Because in the past, there's a lot of number crunching needed by the analysts, right? But in future or now, AI is actually doing most of the work and let the human do what they can do best, which is to interpret and infer from there. Yeah. Customer support and service, I don't need to talk about it. You know that very, very well. We are all using it. Basic healthcare diagnosis, you may or may not know it, but I already shared with you just now that what we did before, right? It's a lot of triaging. Before you talk to the real doctor or real nurse, you actually talk to an AI first, and we build what we call clinical pathway so that the AI algorithm can give a pre-diagnosis of things. Yeah. Visual financial analysis, again, I don't need to talk. Just now you already mentioned a lot, algo trading, yeah, and many robo advisor and so on and so forth. Manufacturing and warehousing, right? A lot of autonomous robots doing packing, right, and sorting inside a factory. If you did not already see that, right, and that is also using a lot of AI. As I mentioned just now, there's this term called collaborative robots, cobots, where you have many robotic arms along your entire assembly line. Then you have a little robot that has a brain in the cloud that guide them what to do, right? So this is very common today already. Data entry and bookkeeping, retail and fast food, I think, again, not surprising. This may not be fully AI yet, right? It's just some kind of automation, But again, moving forward, whether is it a McDonald's or others that you order food at the self-checkout kiosk, there will be AI algorithm put inside. And why am I so confident to say that? Because as part of the healthcare that we do, right, we already have a kiosk in China that can measure your blood pressure and others, right, in that kiosk itself, right? And then we put an AI doctor that you talk to, and then he give you a prescription, you scan the code, the medicine come out. So there will be a lot of kiosk-like kind of AI algorithm there, so that it can do, like, you're dealing with a human in front of you, right? And to make the kiosk meaningful and can grow, your AI inside, you need to put some of AI that is can think like a human inside the kiosk. Yeah. Transportation, I don't talk about that. You already mentioned autonomous driver vehicles, drones, and all those things, right? Legal research is another one. I wouldn't just limit it to legal research or say any research itself, right? So whether is it using ChatGPT to plan your travel itinerary, or if you have friends or relative working in the legal industry, right? In the olden days, I mean, my brother and sisters are both lawyers, right? So when they were doing their pupillage in a law firm, what they do is that as the youngest members, they are always dumb to say, can you go and search this file, that file, and all this case in the past, right? So before AI comes about, they really have to do a lot of manual work of searching and sieving through all the files of documents to get the information. But with AI and with all the information digitalized, it can be done much easy. Yeah. So AI really helps a lot on the research itself. Yeah. So if you look at what are the jobs that can be replaced by AI and what are the jobs that will be created, right? I mean, it's always the case. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, right? As we always call it. So there will definitely be job loss, but there will also be jobs created, right? So that's where the upskilling, reskilling comes about. So job will be replaced. I will not go through all the detail. You can read through them, right? The mundane tasks, they usually fall under category of repetitive, mundane, that kind of thing, right? So all these things are the one, right? Then the new jobs created will be what you are interested in. You hear a lot about data scientists already, I'm sure, right? Robotic engineer, AI engineer, right? Conversational AI developer. Another very interesting one, which you may not see that a lot in Singapore, except for maybe undergrads doing part-time, is data labeling, right? So just now we talked about supervised machine learning. Last time I hired a lot of data labeling people as well, because when we build a clinical pathway, we need to label, okay, this condition, this, he said this, I label them to bring the next action, right? So a lot of data labeling companies today are in India. So a lot of Singapore companies use Indian companies to do data labeling because it's a little bit labor intensive, right? Not a super high value job, but it's very important to be done. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Raphael, sharing the fast food in Japan has an AI system to collect and clean use utensils, right? Serve cook food and wait for customer. Yep. Thanks for the healthcare sharing. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of that and definitely happy to discuss more. Okay, and if you have already seen your TMA, quite a few, not surprisingly, is healthcare related. Because not just because I'm in healthcare, but if you look at one of the government report which I'll share, right? Healthcare is one of the focus sector, at least for Singapore government to invest in with AI. And thanks for so you are also a healthcare expert because you know what's plateau. Yeah, they have some market share in Singapore, but not the biggest one. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay, so there's technical skills need to be, whether you call it upskill or reskill, right? Knowledge of AI, very basic knowledge is needed. Data analytics capability, right? Machine learning and deep learning capability. Again, depending on the jobs you want, right? So you may need to build some of this, right? Digital skills, right? Because AI algorithm is just one part of things. And to really see the AI, it can be in the form of a robot. It can be in the form of some kind of a process automation like a RPA, right? It can be many, many different forms, right? So you need some form of digital skills. And of course, with the building of AI, especially by pure technical people, in a technical project, you already have business analysts, right, to look at some of this ethical use of AI. And in the user environment, in the customer environment, usually there's AI governance committee being set up in projects, right? AI projects, they will look at ethical issues as well. Okay. Of course, domain knowledge, whether in the AI world or not in the AI world, is always helpful, right? Cybersecurity is another key thing that we talk about. AI for sure, right? Even without AI, any digital transformation, we are always very concerned about the cybersecurity side of things. So in a nutshell, AI will change the way we work, right? The way we communicate, the way we make decisions, and the way we interpret the world. Okay. So let's do another Mentimeter. Okay, and I'll show you the result as well. So maybe from here, share with me, do a voting. What do you think are the most common use of AI in public administration? As I said, I attended the Smart Nation Digital Government Office talk in AWS last 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago or last week, right? And they shared the Singapore government finding on this, right? So you do this first, then we compare the results with the government sharing. Yeah. So you can see this while I go and pick up your. Okay, and you see the results that you have put in. Okay, you scan already, yeah? Let me see your voting result. Okay, I think most of you think it's public facing digital apps. Okay, interesting. Internal business ops, knowledge work, service delivery. So for those of you who voted for public facing digital apps, do you want to share some example? Because this is the highest. Yeah. You can type inside as well. So have you used any of this? Because public facing means, do you use any of these apps and you think it's AI enabled? All the chatbots and government forms. Okay, that's one. Okay, it's all chatbots that I'm seeing now. Other than chatbots, Ask Jamie is also another chatbot. Yeah. Trace together at that time, not really, but yeah, it can be. Okay, good. MSF help function, yes. I'm actually working on an AI project for agency for integrated care. Google Home budget to set for easiest to check on. Oh, is there an apps to check on budget 2024? HPB, HD, you're talking, sorry, your name is Padma, is it? Oh, if I'm not wrong. Is it HPB or HDB that you are talking about? The Housing Development Board or the Health Promotion Board? HPB, okay, Health Apps, Health Hub. Health Hub doesn't really have too much AI behind it yet. Yeah, it's a digital apps, yes, but doesn't have too much AI yet. It's trying to put in, yes. Okay, good. Yeah. Safe distance part. Okay, great. I think all of you are quite familiar with government work. Great. So public facing apps is what you think is the most common use, huh? Okay, and then the rest is okay, internal you think is the least, then the rest is like around the middle, comms, service delivery. Okay, thanks. I will show you the result from government. Okay, I show you the result now by government. So we do the same voting at the, on during the event, and all the people, including myself, who attended this talk, we voted like this. Okay, slightly different from what you guys think, right? So if you look at it, most people, 33% voted for knowledge retrieval. Okay, this is not from the government yet, this is from the people who were there, including myself, right? Most of us are the I'll say tech companies people, yeah. So 33% voted for knowledge retrieval. I think just now you all voted highest is public facing, right? So public facing, only 10% of us voted, okay? But it's the highest for you guys. Then I think internal business ops, you guys voted the least, right? And actually it's the second biggest that we voted, 31%, right? So this is what we voted, you can see, right? We think, why we think this way, the reason why most of us think that way is that, you know, government usually is a little bit more afraid of trying new things with public, because anything goes wrong, you will go to the news very fast, right? So public facing apps, we think it will not be the highest. That's why we voted to be about 10%. Okay. In fact, it's the lowest, because the other 1% is others, right? Others is difficult to define. So among all this, right, the lowest is actually public facing apps from tech partner of the government perspective, right? And we think the highest is internal related. So internal business of this 31% is high. Knowledge retrieval is also a lot for internal use, right? You retrieve the knowledge about, let's say, the public behavior, the population health, right? So that's why you can see more than 60% of us think that internal facing thing, government is more willing and more comfortable of doing, right? As compared to a external facing, like a public facing apps. So let's look at what the government say. Okay. So this is what the government say. The top three functional areas, right, that they will do. Number one is actually knowledge work, right? They really, okay, retrieve a lot of data and information and use the AI to retrieve and give analytic solutions and answers, right, for the work for their policy making, right? So it's AI assisted, right, policy making, because they get a lot of knowledge and data using AI, and use the AI to do the first level or second level of interpretation and analysis before it takes, and then put in the human intervention before the actual policy making. Okay, so knowledge retrieval really, or knowledge work, is really the number one that government use AI for. Okay, number two is service delivery, right? This one is more also a little bit of internal and external, right? So for example, they get the information already to say what's the next best action, right? So they may say, okay, I need to send an officer to your HDB to check, right? So things like this is also AI automated from scheduling, right? And from other perspective. The third highest is actually comms and engagement. So your chatbots and others actually to some extent falls under both the digital apps and the communication and engagement, right? Because sending surveys, sending forms, that's comms and engagement, but the front of it may be using chatbot or using some form of bot. Yeah. Okay. So this is what the government is putting AI on, right? Will it change in the next couple of years? We believe so, right? Especially when it's more matured technology, you'll move from internal facing to external facing. Okay. Okay, government agency have been rapidly, I mean, again, this is from SNDGO slides, right? So government agencies have been rapidly experimenting AI to solve key pain points. So there are more than 40 prototypes already in the span of 8 months. Okay, and what do they focus in? They focus on citizen experience enhancement, right? So just now, I think many of you talk about forms, right? So the forms, they will get your inputs, right? And then use AI to help in the analytics side of things. And then they will use, again, potentially AI to do the comms and engagement. So one, as I mentioned, I was doing elder care recently. So one of the project I'm working with the elder care sector and using AI, right, in various form. One is that we will have people who really do survey with the elderly living in, let's say, a single room flat, right? One room flat. So we'll send people because you still need to have the human touch. But the people will talk to the elderly using AI, right? Voice to text, that's one of the AI application or use case. Voice to text, right? Go there already. Then after voice to text, I need, because some of, and again, of my a lot of the volunteers or the survey people, right, from the elder care, they may not be familiar with a lot of the dialect group. So voice to text from the senior and then response back in the comms and engagement is also AI assisted, right? So AI may be able to translate their English into Hokkien or Cantonese or something else, yeah? So there's AI. Then from there, the survey results, they will take back and they will use AI to analyze, right? Splitting into the different dashboards, use AI to do that instead of a data analyst to do that. And from there, suggest next best action, right? So this is something that we are doing, and there are multiple AI use cases within work itself, within a project itself, yeah. The other areas will be knowledge discovery and summarization that we talked about already. That's part of knowledge work. Data query analysis, I talk about what we are doing for elder care as well. Training and education, process automation, policy legal support, right? So these are the key focus areas of Singapore government using AI in public sector. Okay. Question? No? Okay. So what are the potential benefits of AI in public administration, right? So there are many areas that AI can potentially transform that. First of all is enhancing customer experience, right? Again, it can be subjective. So maybe you can share again by typing or by saying out. Many of you just now say that you know government use AI, whether is it part of the form or bots to engage you. Do you feel engaged? Or you rather talk to a human? What's your experience so far? Because it's belief, right? Whether is it from the research or from what the government tell us just now that you saw, right? It will help in comms and engagement, but are you engaged? Okay, always prefer human, but we have a shortage of labor. Okay, there are people who Samuel say chatbots are good, direct and clear. Okay. Have you experienced that you talk to human or customer service agent or surveyor, in the end, when you ask them question, they say they don't know and they need to go and check. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, I think I agree with the last one. Again, Devi, right? Okay. Yeah, Devi. You're right. So I also think that for simple thing, I believe a bot or AI can help to solve the problem fast, right? Rather than going through human, and that can also optimize costs, right? But for more complex one, you will need human intervention. So that is what I believe is useful, yeah, as well. Okay. Yeah, chatbot gets to the point. You're right, exactly. That's why I say direct query, simple thing, chatbot is good, but complex cannot. I mean, recently I just recontract my mobile line. It's the same thing, right? So when it's simple thing, you press a recontract, everything can be done easily by AI at the back end. But if you want to change this, change that, as part of a recontract, then you probably need to do a human intervention. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So that's why enhancing customer or citizen experience, yes, it is the target, but again, I would say it depends on the situation, right? For the more complex one, purely using AI alone may not be good enough. Yeah. Streamline and automated operation. Just now you see that we think there's a lot of internal capability, and that is definitely the case, right? Whether is it through robotic process automation or through using different someone even mentioned predictive maintenance, right? So even in the government sector, if you look at transport, yes, predictive maintenance will help as well. Yeah. Enhanced decision making, as I say, I was involved quite a lot in some of the policy making, especially during COVID time, right? Especially like when to wear masks, what safety distance, what's essential service, who can come out, why is it 3, why is it 5, why is it 10 people, blah, 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 right? So all these are data driven. It's not somebody wake up the next day and say, okay, it should be 5, right? No, it's not. It's all data driven with a lot of scientific evidence, right? Whether this scientific evidence is right or wrong, I think it was too short a time during COVID to prove it, but at least there's some scientific support, right, to make those decisions. So definitely AI help to comb through the very complex sea of data to really help in decision making. So even COVID time, right? There's a lot of data being collected on the number of cases, right? So all this collected data, actually we have to help to prepare them, right? With AI help, of course, and then for the Committee of Supply, COS, to present to the minister who will present to the parliament. Yeah. So that's definitely very important. Accelerating innovations, again, I would say is like number one is a little bit subjective, right? So yes, AI can help in a lot of new innovation. That's why I'm doing that for elder care. I'm now doing one for smart medication. So you can imagine that in tomorrow's world, once this is successful, right? It's like if you know this term, this thing called pill box, right? In I think 10, 20 years ago, there's pill box, you put into a box, and then you put in the compartment of what medicine you take every day, right? So if you take wrongly, the pill box technology will trigger an alert to your caretaker or to yourself or to your doctor, right, to remind you. In the smart medication in future, right, it's no longer just a pill box. There are different types of AI algorithm being built to monitor your medical adherence on a daily or even hourly basis. Yeah. Empowering workforce, right? So AI definitely can help in that. There's a lot of AI assisted operation being done, whether is it in the healthcare, in the predictive maintenance, in the customer service, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. So how can AI contribute to public administration, right? So just now we already saw in the GovTech, not GovTech, in the SNDGO slides, right? They have about 40 over prototypes, and then what they do, a lot of service delivery. So you can see here as well, right? So enhanced service delivery, right? Chatbot 24/7 availability, fast response, social service, scheduling. So these are part of service delivery work, right? Data analysis and decision making, right? Can analyze vast amount of data in a very short time. And we actually use that plan a lot during COVID time, right? To help us in decision making. Okay. Improve efficiency and automation. As I said, whether is it form filling, data entry, the one that we built for Singapore National Eye Center on scheduling optimizer, right? This can be done quite easily using AI. Comms and engagement, we already hear from you. Some of you think it's useful, some don't think it is. So it's something that people need to improve on, maybe add the human touch into any communication and engagement. Yeah. So example, I think, as I mentioned, Singapore, right, apart from defense, which we cannot talk too much, in the entire public sector, the two biggest one is actually healthcare and education, and then transport, right? So that's definitely what we look at, right? Healthcare, analyze medical record, right? Public safety, analyze footages. Yeah. So AI can help in all these things. So what are the value they can bring if they can do all those things, right? So improve efficiency and cost saving, right? That we already seen just now. Faster service delivery and improve citizen satisfaction can be subjective, right? But definitely, I think since COVID time where we need to register ourselves for vaccination, right? Then after that, there's a lot of launching of must go where I can't remember all the exact name, must go where and all those things, right? I think those are very easy for us to follow, right? To go and get the necessity things that we need. Yeah. Okay, and then proactive policy development through data analysis. This one, you may or may not like the policy, but definitely we are using a lot of the data-driven insights to do the policy making. Yeah. For public sector innovation, right? So this is again, I think there's plenty of grant that different government agency is releasing and asking for application, right? AI is definitely one of the key things that they are investing a lot in. Yeah. Okay, and of course, we will prepare with AI, right? We will need to prepare our workforce for the AI-driven future. Yeah. Okay, let's look at some of the example of AI in public administration. I think you already gave many example that you are familiar with as well, right? So some of the example, not just from Singapore, right? Social violence, right? So there's a lot of social media that's being used, right? And I think we all know, right? There have been many cases where Singapore government actually POFMA, right? A lot of people who put things on Facebook. So there's this technology or this capability called social listening, which it has been there for quite some time without AI. But with AI capability, the social listening capability also becomes stronger. So whatever you do on social media is definitely also part of what the government is tracking. Yeah. If not, they wouldn't know. Yeah. And POFMA people. So traffic management is another key thing, right? Analyze traffic data, right? Again, how good it is being used. I think a lot of people complain about bus services not on time, or suddenly you have 2 or 3 buses come at the same time, right? And then you also have MRT breakdown, although it may be not due to technology, but due to the old railways or whatever, right? Definitely traffic management is one of the key use case in public administration. Yeah. Public service, Singapore is quite advanced, but as to be very honest, I was working in China for quite some time. So when China called themselves e-government 3.0, Singapore just started like 1.0. Yeah. So again, our public services are already quite good today and digital and using some form of AI. But China is even faster in that perspective because for good or for bad, there isn't too much control or what's the right word to use? Too much control over your data, right? Most of the time, the Chinese government, when you're in China especially a Chinese citizen, your data is automatically to some extent, right, given to the government public services. Yeah. So with the data, they can actually make their public services more digital and faster and with AI support. Okay, engagement, we talk about that already. I will not repeat. Yeah, some of you feel is useful, some is not. Yeah, using chatbot. Let's take a quick look at the one of Deloitte video on AI in government. Yeah, let me make sure I share the sound first. Yeah.
More precious than gold, it cannot be bought, earned, or saved. And once it is gone for good. It is time. Yet too much of our time is wasted. we're buried in a blizzard of paperwork, unable to do the most important work, meaningful work. This is especially true for government. Documenting and recording information consumes almost 500 million federal government person hours per year at a cost of over $16 billion in wages. But the promise of a workplace free of drudgery now rings true, even in government. Artificial intelligence is becoming a reality, and it has the potential to change workflow systems forever. Our research shows that AI and automation can help government agencies free up billions of labor hours per year, time that can be refocused on more critical tasks. In fact, we forecast yearly federal government savings from AI to be in the hundreds of millions of person hours and billions of dollars in wages. And the fluidity of AI means customization, from automating tasks to augmenting work, making any task easier. This holds the true promise of AI, combining human and computer strengths to do work faster and smarter, even performing tasks impossible before now. Of course, with technology as powerful as AI, careful implementation is necessary. Job loss, de-skilling, and reduced worker morale are potential pitfalls that must be kept in check. But with proper implementation, AI opens up a new world of efficiency and effectiveness. Simply put, AI will help government do the work that needs to get done, so humans can focus on the work that matters.
Okay, so this is a Deloitte video. All right, you can read more about that. Okay, so who will benefit from this potentials, right? So definitely we look at three areas, right? Citizens, business, and government. So how will citizens benefit, right? So we already seen things like improved service delivery, right? So whether is it chatbot or virtual assistant that you already seen and you already talk about, right? So I mean, if you rely on human, right, you will not be able to do it 24/7. Yeah. And then personalized experience, right? You may not feel it that much now, but with more data collected and sorting out some of the internal approval process, right, you will get a more personalized thing, right? Today government is 1 to millions or billions, right? So they can't be too personalized. It's like one to many relationship. But with AI, not just about engagement, right? Even about, we call it personalized medicine and many things, right? So that is really there's this word called mass customization, right? Because mass is usually one size fits all, right? Customization is one by one, you go and develop customization for them. But mass customization is a new trend, right? It has been there quite some time, but recently come back again. Is that with AI, because it's more cost effective, it's not very costly to analyze the data and do some form of suggestion for individualized experience. So personalized experience is more made possible, right? Even in a government one-to-many relationship in terms of communication and service delivery, right? Of course, as part of citizen, right? AI can actually help in traffic flow analysis, improve infrastructure maintenance, right? And even crime prediction, right? So you may have read about news in China before. There's this Hong Kong singer called Jackie Cheung, a very famous one, right? There was was it a thief or was it a robber? I can't remember, right? A criminal actually was caught at his concert, right? When he's a fan and he went to attend the concert. So the facial recognition and the AI analysis actually nailed down. And that's why, if for those of you who been to China, like I would say 20 years ago versus now, last time the traffic was terrible, the driving was terrible, there's safety belt, nobody puts on it. But today, if you go to China, especially the more developed tier 1 city like Shenzhen, right? When you go up the taxi driver will ask you to put on safety belt before he does other thing, right? Because there are so many cameras in China, and all these cameras are doing all the real-time AI analysis and imaging. right? To look for criminal, to prevention of crime, and so on and so forth. So definitely, public safety is one of the good use case of using AI as well. But again, this will bring another concern of privacy that we can discuss separately. Yeah. Then businesses, right? So how can business kind of unlock the benefit of using AI, right? So and with the government, right? So things like business, whether you are sole proprietorship or you are private limited, you go to Accra, you go to BizFile, you go to apply permit to do this, do that, get government grant, right? So using AI at the back end definitely helps in streamlining the process and automating some of the tasks. Yeah. And of course, we also say data-driven decision making, right? Today, if you expect every business, if you're large enough, that's okay. If you're SME and you expect every SME go and deploy their AI technology to help in the analysis, it's not going to happen. So government is actually helping them as well. Recently, if you go and Google, Singapore government agency launched many AI initiative with AWS, Google, and many others. There's this thing called AI Verify Foundation as well, that they actually bring people in to put data in, analyze things, and then help in decision and policy making together. Yeah. Government, right? It can be more cost effective and sustainable service, right? When it deploy AI, right? So AI help to automate repetitive tasks, right? Decision making, and then citizen engagement that we have already seen and discussed just now. Yeah. So what are the opportunity and benefit of AI for public administration, right? So just to recap, we talked a lot about enhanced efficiency, right? So repetitive tasks, streamlined services, right? And then it will help to improve the benefits, improve operation efficiency and faster service delivery, right? Second thing, other than enhanced efficiency, is improved decision making. So analysis of vast amount of data, right? To help in the decision making. Number three is personalized experience, right? Or the engagement and then the personalized services, right, according to your citizen profile. So Health Promotion Board definitely is launching a lot of personalized things based on your number of steps, your sleeping pattern. That's why if you go to your Health Hub or Healthy 365 apps, especially Healthy 365 apps, asking for your sleeping pattern and all those things, because they're collecting the data so that it can do analysis and subsequently give you a personalized health management. Yeah. So that's government intention. It started as everyone should have a family doctor, right? So most of us sign up as part of the Healthier SG program, but they are trying to do like what China was doing as well, right? So instead of one physical family doctor for you, which you still have, but you will have an AI doctor for you first, right? To do your daily health management, right? Okay. So AI opportunity in public administration, sorry, too much animation, right? So definitely it helps in transforming citizen engagement, right? Of course, it can go two ways, so you need to design it carefully, right? Compliance and risk management, right? You can automate, you can ensure regulatory adherence. So to give another example again, we were building a AI medical device risk classification for Health Science Authority, right? So that one is also, we put like, instead of people go and check multiple sources, whether, hey, let's say someone from Europe, right, bringing in a new medical device to Singapore, they need to get HSA approval. Today is lots of forms filling, approval process, go and check this, check that, any relevant case, similar case before. Tomorrow, with tools that we have built that's AI based, right, they can just go to the website, the platform, register their device, and then the AI machine will actually check all the things and give them advice already. Yeah. Of course, AI is used in fraud detection, prevention, right? Also process automation, we talk a lot about that. Personalized service delivery, right? So these are some of the examples. Let's go into some of them, right? So if we look at personalized service delivery, right? So proactive outreach and recommendation, you already received quite a fair bit, right? From during COVID time asking you to go for vaccination to now they probably is also doing a lot of health management from HPB, right? And then some of you may be involved in sports events, right? Sports SG, Active SG are also proactively promoting a lot of communication in their respective areas. Yeah. And this can be done in a cost-effective manner because of AI, right? Before that, these are costly marketing expenses that people need to spend. Yeah. Of course, tailored application forms, right? Today, just now, I think one of your classmate already say, right? You can, based on budget 2024, your eligibility, you can check, right? So all these things are to some extent personalized and tailor-made as well, right? Eligibility and risk assessment, right? A lot of analyzing the data to look at your different eligibility of the government programs, right? So in the healthcare field, for those of you, you have Pioneer generation, Merdeka generation, the CHAS blue, CHAS green, CHAS different orange, different cards, right? So these are based on many factors like your household income, your income tax, and many things. So at the back end, you can imagine Ministry of Health actually connect their data or collect their data from CPF, from IRAS and others, right? So that is where the collection of data and then the AI actually help in the analysis itself. Yeah. So this is personalized service delivery that engage the citizen. Yeah. Asset and resource allocation or management, right? I think just now someone also mentioned predictive maintenance, right? So this is good, right? Whether is it the bridges, the roads, the buildings, right? By putting AI algorithm with, let's say, your connected devices helps in prediction, right? First, you try to monitor first, collect data. Then after that, you can have predictive maintenance. Yeah. So this is one useful use case in the asset and resource management of public sector services, right, or products. Then optimizing resource allocation, right, your energy and your water usage across the different public buildings, right, again with data and AI, right, it can help in the resource allocation side of things. Okay, then inventory management, right? There's quite a lot of government-owned assets, right? Apart from all your traffic lights, your roads, your bridges, right? There may be some buildings as well, right? So this is where you can do a lot of inventory management, right? To make sure that they are operating in the most effective and cost-efficient manner. Yeah. Environmental monitoring or risk management, right? Again, this may or may not be under government, but I also have friends working to look at the weather's prediction, right? And in some other countries, like Taiwan, recently, I think if you read about it, they have used AI to predict the next aftershock. Yeah. And it has been quite accurate, and it was developed by an individual or a private company that adopted by the government. So these are the different things that the government can use AI for. Yeah. Okay, and of course, this is the simplest analytics, right, and decision making. So we cover a lot of that already, from crime rate prediction, public health outbreaks. So again, there's this pandemic outbreak AI algorithm that we have built, right? Australia also built it during COVID. Many countries built the health outbreaks thing, right? So these are the ones that AI can actually help in the unstructured unsupervised machine learning methods. Yeah. Of course, decision making, I will give an example just now also. Yeah. Process automation, again, very simple, right? So a lot of repetitive tasks, your RPA can help in that. Again, decision making will be faster, right? If you can do some of this automation. And because it's data, and because if you remove the biasness already, right, it can be more accurate and consistent comparing to human. So again, going back to a use case example, there's a lot of comparison between identifying a cancerous cells from all the CT scan by a doctor or human as compared to going through multiple CT scans and identified by AI. So there will be some data that AI actually win most of the comparison, because human eyes, you can have a lot of blind spot. The more CT scans or X-ray films you look at, after a while you have some blind spot. But AI doesn't have that problem. Yeah. Okay, fraud detection is another, and prevention, right, is another benefit of using AI in public sector, right? You can detect anomaly, right, whether it's a cyber attack, right, or is it some kind of physical attack as well, right? So this is anomaly detection. Then from there, AI, and I mean using data, of course, can help to do the risk assessment and then ensure security measures, right? And from there further, it can do let's say identification of patterns, right? Then it can do predictive modeling of that. So this is again another case of using AI, right, in the government security measurements. Okay, any question to here? I think I talked quite a lot. All quite straightforward, right? Okay, no question. Let's see. Okay, good. Okay. All this, I think someone say your course guide is, yeah, it's not called study guide. I was told it's called course guide because it doesn't have all the details in like a normal study guide, but that's the design of this course as requested by the faculty, right? So I hope these slides, when I put on, you will realize that there's quite a lot for you to study, right? And what I'll do is instead of putting at the end of the class, so I will put it before the class. So the next class, I will put it the one probably a couple of days before, right? Even up to a week before the class itself. Then you can actually look at it. Yeah. Okay. So the next benefit of using AI in public administration, right, is actually compliance and risk management, right? So a lot of compliance, regulatory monitoring. So again, example, the commercial world I quoted is medical device, right? They need to comply to a lot of regulatory standard. And then AI helps them to compare, right? Many use cases, just like legal research, right? Then if you in a public sector, right? Again, quoting the COVID case, right? So there's a lot of people tracking and people management, right? How do I ensure that when I say only 5 people can come out and dine together, there are only really 5 people and not 6 or not 8 people, right? So the regular compliance can use AI to accomplish through video analytics, right? And many other means, right? It can be wearables, it can be the trace together itself, right? Which at that time don't have AI inside, but because of the scanning, and collecting the data, so they know about that. But if at that time it has an AI algorithm inside, then it probably can do it much easier. Yeah. And of course, there's predictive analysis with associated risk to government project. So again, for many government project, data would have been collected and dumped into certain centralized platform. And then in future, when similar situation may not be similar projects, similar situation is identified, then it can comb through the backend data and do I mean, the AI can comb through the backend data and then help to give a suggestion or even a decision for the situation that the government project is in. Yeah. Okay, so it's used in compliance and risk management as well. Okay, this one I will not repeat. We talked a lot about that already, transforming citizens' engagement, right? So outreach, communication, engagement. Okay. So what are the potential risks and constraints after we see the opportunities of using AI in public administration? Yeah. So of course, we talk about AI bias, right? So it can be a data bias. The training data is not unrepresentative. It's unrepresentative. That means not diverse enough, right? So it can have a data bias. It can have a algorithmic bias, right? So the algorithm that's being designed right, it may take certain discrimination into the algorithm redesign that we saw just now, right? Senior leadership must be only from male, right? So this is the bias, algorithm bias. Then human bias, right? So the developer or the user of the AI system can influence the data collection, right? So for example, the elder care example I gave about, if the people all go to just, let's say, one room flat, you may not have a good spread of data, right? There are also elders in the 5-room flat, they may need help also, yeah? So these are human bias, right? In terms of different areas of data collection or design and others, yeah? This is an Amazon case that I talked about just now, so you can read about that, right? So apparently their Amazon recruiting tools, right, has a bias against female candidates, right? Because they train basically using on a male resume. So you can read about this case, right? It should be quite straightforward, yeah? And then there's a loss of trust and there's a legal implication from there. Okay. So ethical consideration in AI implementation, we already discussed some part of it, right? The data privacy consideration, right? Collection and the use of the data, right? Need to ensure that it comply to the PDPA standard in Singapore or GDPR standard in Europe, okay? And then most of the design of the application should be security by design. Okay, then bias and discrimination, right? So anything that is that we need to, when we design as part of responsible AI that we discussed, right? We need to remove the bias and discrimination as far as possible. Okay, it has to be explainable. The AI that we design, right, has to be accountable and transparent itself. Okay, again, social impact needs to be considered. As we say, right, AI can lead to job losses, right? So these are some of the social impacts to be considered as well. Then last but not least, right, anything that touches the public safety, right, needs to be considered as well. Okay. So these are some of the ways to mitigate the risk, right, that we've identified just now, right? So data quality, you need to ensure that the data is representative, right? Data source needs to be not having bias and wide enough. Then regularly audit the data for bias and inconsistency, right? And of course, we need to ensure algorithmic fairness, right? And also human oversight to define clear roles and responsibility for AI development and deployment, right? Then meeting all the ethical guidelines and regulations and make it transparent and explainable. So this is repeating by itself, but it's what is needed. Okay. Okay. So again, to use AI, as we can see, why the government of Singapore think that they will use AI more for internal before they go to public facing, right? As you can see from the voting result and the actual result by the government, it's because when you go directly to a lot of public facing and citizen engagement, right? If you're not ready, right, one mistake, you'll cause a lot of public outcry, right? And that's why building trust is very important, right? And when we design, especially at the beginning, right, it is actually always recommended that citizen engagement needs to happen. So I always get a lot of invitation to join some of this roundtable or focus group discussion that was initiated by government, but they outsourced to someone to run it, right? So this is where they will actually throw some of the initiative and ask you about your opinion, your suggestion, and your feedback. Then you'll take this and go back and discuss, right? So that's why citizen engagement is important. Not just in AI, I think in a lot of policy making is already happening, but with AI, you need to do even more because a lot of concerns that we look at, we already discussed, right? Security, privacy, transparency, even all the misinformation, right? So it becomes even more important to have citizen engagement upfront, right? And how to engage, no different from a lot of non-AI projects as well, right? That we already go through, public consultation, focus group, advisory board, and so on and so forth, right? If we don't do it correctly, right, there can be a digital divide, right? That is going to happen as well. Okay. So that's all for our course material for chapter 1 and 2, which is your study unit 1. Right, before we end the day, let's have a quick 10 minutes discussion. We may end about 5 minutes late. So maybe I will break you into breakout room, right? You can have a quick discussion. Then later on, we will come back and you can feel free to share as well. Okay, give me a minute. So this is what you will discuss, right? Who is accountable for the decision made by AI system? What is the appropriate level of human oversight needed? What are other privacy concerns or security risks, right, surrounding the use of AI? Okay, see how do I break you into breakout room. So this will be a random one. It's not your GPA. We have 19. So I will put 6 in a group. So we have 3 groups. Okay, so have a quick 10 minutes discussion, then we will come back to the main room again. So join your breakout rooms, yeah. Okay, welcome back. I think everyone is back. Okay, the last 5 minutes, right? So the questions is open-ended. Maybe each group you can just send someone to share something, right? So example, who is responsible for the decision made by AI system in public admin? What's the appropriate level of human oversight needed to ensure responsible and ethical use? What are other privacy concerns or security risks? Yeah. So anyone wants to start? Don't be shy.
Okay, hi, Prof.
Please go. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, hi, Prof. I'm not too sure which group I'm from, but I think we came to a consensus that those responsible for AI usage will definitely be key appointment holders in your government sectors, your directors, board directors and stuff, because and definitely you need a team of IT dudes to control it, because there may be some loopholes in which things could go really really bad, and definitely there will be a public outcry, as you have mentioned earlier as well. But I think the key importance would be privacy control. So if we look at the recent US hearings that indicted Mark Zuckerberg and that TikTok CEO dude, the big question that came to mind was always privacy, because you're always afraid that there are some secrets to which you don't want to share, and then there's a breach of confidentiality as well. In Singapore's case, I think a lot of things has been quite safe until lately, when there are recent hacks into the system, where somehow a lot of data has been stolen. So the usage of AI can also be potentially really really good, to a sense that you can drive the country's development and growth on a broad spectrum. But on the downside, then we'll come back to privacy, and then it will lead to a public outcry, and you need people who you need people with it, like I said earlier, you need people in the key appointment holding positions, whether it's private company, corporate, or the government sector, to ensure this does not happen. We can look at Apple, for example. They have a clause that if, let's say, you don't agree to the terms, like your own personal data to be used within Apple system, then you can't use you won't enjoy the user interface for Apple, and then essentially you won't get much out of it when you spend for it. If we look into your social media as well, when they're using AI generative features, you wanna, for example, if let's say you're a corporate and you wanna brand yourself, they have an AI generative format where you can put an ad over on social media like Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok. But then again, you have to tick off that part where they are allowed to get hold of your information and stuff. And if let's say your information, like your credit card billings, your housing address, your own social identity number gets released, then it's pretty screwed, essentially. So yeah, to summarize, privacy, and then to make sure that there's no bias inside this decision when these key appointment holders come to develop better AI features.
Okay, sure. Hey, thanks for sharing. Great stuff. Rappel, right? Yeah. Rappel.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Hi, Prof.
Another group? Yeah.
Yeah, our group came to pretty similar conclusions. So for the first bit of the question, who is accountable for decisions made by AI systems in public admin? You essentially have like three people that can be held accountable, right? You have your low-level bureaucrats, you have your high-level bureaucrats, and then you have the people who created the AI system. It is senseless to go after low-level bureaucrats for the decisions made by AI systems, because they are merely they're merely the frontline guys. Like if something was to, like, in Singapore's context, for example, like if there's some sort of AI system that's used to by the Ministry of Health, and that system it does something wrong. Lots of information gets leaked or something. You wouldn't blame the low-level bureaucrat that picks up the phone for these sorts of issues. So that's out. You also wouldn't blame the creator of the AI system because he merely created the system to be used for a specific purpose. If the system was used badly or wrongly, yeah, it shouldn't be that person's problem. The person who should be responsible is the high level bureaucrat, because you ought to have done your due diligence in ensuring that the AI system that you utilize is fit for purpose. So yeah, you would go after all of the high level bureaucrats. So for MOH, for example, if they had implemented an AI system that was bad and you need to hold somebody accountable, you would go to the deputy secretary, you go to those kinds of people. So yeah, that's our answer for the first half of the question. Appropriate level of human oversight needed to ensure responsible and ethical use of AI in governance. We feel that the appropriate level of oversight should be quite a high level of oversight, because at the end of the day, um the use AI is merely a tool. It is used by somebody for a purpose. So you need to have quite a high degree of oversight, some degree of oversight at least, so as to be able to cater that tool for whatever purpose you're trying to use it for. And finally, privacy concerns. We felt that a very, very important thing was that um one of the privacy concerns that we had talked about was that the leak of personal data. So like healthcare, for example, I think a couple of years back, in Singapore, there was a whole bunch of people with like AIDS or some shit like that, right? And then their HIV records got leaked online, something along those lines. So yeah, if an AI system that was used in public administration was responsible for collating and storing that information, and somehow that information got leaked, that would be a very, very serious privacy concern. Yeah. Thanks, Rolf.
Yeah, thanks. I like your first part about the low level, high level bureaucrats. Yeah. Our last guest lecturer may be the ex-deputy secretary. Now I need to consider whether to get him as the guest lecturer or not. Okay, but anyway, okay, we have one more group. You want to share your last part? Anyone from the other group left here?
I don't really know how to say this, but I think everyone left and there was no discussion.
Okay. Were you from that group? Or
Group 3?
yeah,
Yeah. Breakout room 3, yeah.
okay. You want to share your thoughts briefly?
Um, I mean, since we're already kind of overrunning, I think I'll just like, yeah, basically, accountable one is all the all those like governments or all those top brass, because they have the authority and to pass laws, make sure everything's going well. No, yeah. Then for the appropriate level of human oversight, I think there needs to be a balance, like, because obviously, like, if you over manage AI, then it's a bit no point to let them do their own thing. But at the same time, there obviously needs to be a level of management, make sure it doesn't like mess up or do anything wrong. Need accountability for any issues they may run into, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Then privacy concerns or risks, as mentioned, it's like all the possible data leakages. Then yeah, there's also all the ethical issues. Yeah. And yeah, basically AI needs to be handled very carefully. Otherwise, it can mess up our lives as much as it's helped us. You look at AI, all the AI art and how the AI artists are going, and it's like, yeah.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Yeah, deepfakes is a lot of discussion on that. Okay, thanks a lot. I think we overrun a little bit, but we started a little bit late as well, and it's the first class. So next class we will control much better, and yeah, we will discuss all this in the subsequent session, right? The discussion point. And thanks all for joining, and we'll see you 2 weeks later. I'll upload this slide after this call, and also 1 week before or a few days before the next class, I'll upload chapter 3 and 4 as well. So have a good rest, and then we'll see you 2 weeks later. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Got a
you.
morning lesson tomorrow.
Jesus. Prof, actually, I got a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I mean, just to add on like what Kagan said earlier, right? If let's
Mhm.
say you can't blame, I mean, definitely if let's say the user interface is as it is, the system as it is, right?
Mhm.
Then who is actually to blame if let's say things go south? So I mean, you can't blame your high bureaucrats as well because they're just merely there as a figure. They may
Yeah.
not have full control of everything. And the next point is that if let's say it's the user who uses it and then there's not enough feedbacks to to determine a proper outcome, then who who actually is to blame? There wouldn't be anyone else to blame, would there?
Okay. So I can only mention public case, right? So just now I think someone mentioned about the public health information leakage. That's the HIV one, right? But that one is smaller. The biggest one was actually 2017 Sing Health incident where PM's data was also leaked. Yeah, I don't know if you know about that. You can search about that. It's a very famous case study. Yeah. So in that case, right, if you notice, MOH at that time, because it was managed by IHIS, which is now called Synapse. So the CEO of IHIS was fined, right? And together with 5 other top official in that company, right, which is a government-linked company. So definitely the high level, the most senior one is being fined because they didn't, I mean, they're accountable, right? Just like the director of a company will be prosecuted if anything goes wrong with that company because you never do your job as a director. So highest level for sure will be, okay? In a private company, even it's a government link. Then in that case, in that particular case, why is it let's say the PERMSEC or deputy secretary, all these are not implicated? Because again, it was managed. So the people who operate and manage it, that company top level kena, right? Kena implicated. Then the person who actually the operator, the low level people are also being fired and all those things, right? Because they didn't do their job properly. So that's why I like group 2, right? Just now I forgot the person's name who mentioned it. It will be your high level bureaucrat as well as your low level. The person who operate and who make the mistake will need to be responsible, and the top level will need to be responsible as well. So definitely
Right.
both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for this. At least that gives me better clarification. Thank you.
I think Singapore is quite fair lah. Some country may not, but Singapore is that you realize minister will come out and say something, right? Apologize and whatever. Then the high level will kena. The actual person who do it will also kena. Yeah.
Okay, that's merciless, but okay.
But that's the Singapore system lah. And if in the next subsequent sessions we talk about the China and others, it will be slightly different.
I think it's fair to say you can invite the ex-deputy sec to come over
No,
and
I
give us.
don't know if he if he wants to come over. But the okay, let me think about it. But the second one is a chief data officer of Health Promotion Board, but he just retired recently.
Yeah, the MW app kind of sucks when I used it. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Sure. Okay, Ken.
Okay. Thanks,
Thanks,
Prof.
Raphael. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Good night.